in a respectable, competitive season, but was not really a playoff contender. This season, though, under the leadership of Sincere Edwards, Wekiva hopes to get back into the conversation. They debut at number 15 on the Sentinel Super 16, coming into the preseason rankings, and they are looking to once again be in the conversation when we start talking about regional playoffs.
Yeah, 4-6 was the record last year, certainly ending on a higher note, going 4-2 in their last 6 games. And we got a taste of maybe what's to come last week in the Kickoff Classic against Pinellas Park. Most of the teams in Orange County were unable to play because of bad weather, so scheduling the game 2 hours, 15 minutes away was a break. We saw, again, for the first time, what to expect, Wekiva winning by a 40-7 score. They outgained Pinellas Park 368-90, and that game started. The first play from scrimmage, Wekiva got the ball second. A 70-yard bomb, Tyree Davis to Terrell Gainey running an out route. Perfectly thrown pass by Davis, caught Gainey right in mid-stride at the 20-yard line on a 45-degree angle, and Gainey showing his wares. He had about a 1-foot separation. All he had to do was turn the ball upfield, and Wekiva had the 6-0 lead 1 play into the game. Again, they wound up winning 40-7, scoring 25 points in the first quarter, 15 in the second. And certainly 368 yards put up on the board by the offense, but Pinellas Park only able to put up 7 points and none against the defense, so 7 points was an interception return for a touchdown. Now, again, just like we were talking about at the beginning of last year, we probably didn't see Wekiva playing their best. They probably are not a 360-yard to 90-yard team at 40-7, but certainly a much better start this year, as Mark alluded to, and I think it's a lot closer to what we're going to see this year. When you can go into Pinellas Park, who, by the way, was 9-1 last year, went to the playoffs. And again, I think that also one of the more underlying causes was Wekiva not getting off to a good start, not being mentally ready. Certainly showed different today. Again, first play, a 70-yard bomb, Davis to Gainey, a transfer. And we'll talk more about Davis as we go on, the quarterback who came into this season as the no questions, the number one starter in the quarterback that Wekiva is going to rely on.
All right, well, let's welcome the fans that are here in Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium and get things started here with Week 1 of the 2022 football season. Good evening, everyone. Wekiva High School welcomes you to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium for varsity football competition. Please welcome our guests. From Olympia High School, they are the Titans. And they'll be taking on your Wekiva High School Mustangs. And now please welcome to the field the pride of Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band. As they take the field, we ask you to please stand and remove your hats as we honor America with a presentation of colors by the cadets of Wekiva's Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps program. Tonight's detail is under the command of Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Genesis Ramirez, carrying the U.S. flag. Carrying the Florida state flag is Cadet Second Lieutenant Jennifer Mondragon. Carrying the Air Force flag is Cadet Captain Genesis Herbert, and carrying the POW MIA flag is Cadet Senior Airman Denard Bradley. The Rifle Guards are Second Lieutenant Prince Rodriguez and Cadet Senior Airman Michaela Johnson. And now, please remain standing for the playing of our national anthem by the Wekiva High School Marching Mustangs. Our thanks to the Marching Mustangs and the Air Force JROTC for their assistance with tonight's pregame festivities. Once again, we welcome the Olympia Titans as our guest here in Week 1 of Season 16. And now, please welcome to the field for the first time of 2022, your Wekiva High School Mustangs! Of course, with the inclement weather, we weren't able to get the tunnel out today, but Mustangs still making the triumphant entry onto the field there to kick off the 2022 season. And Neil, I don't know about you, but as much as I enjoy the respite that we get over the summer, having our evenings back, by the time we get to August, I am ready to get back into the chair and enjoy some Friday night lights.
Yeah, it's good to be back here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Of course, told you in the pregame show, Wekiva coming off an impressive 40-7 victory over Pinellas Park. So certainly higher hopes than last year. And we're ready to go. Wekiva in the glossy gold helmets, along with the gold numbers and the maroon background jerseys.
New uniforms, in fact.
Yes, new
season.
uniforms. You can see that with the shininess of them. And Wekiva will receive the ball first. That is number 5, Justin Hutchinson, making his way back. Just in front of him is number 10, Joshua Bennett. And we also have a couple of number changes. If you did follow the team last year, of course, you know Sincere Edwards, who recently, the defensive lineman, but he does play offense as well. He recently signed with UCF, the hometown team. He was wearing number 10 his freshman year. This year he moves to number 0. And Joshua Bennett now wearing number 10, Edwards' old number. So as we get ready for kickoff, go over the starting lineup. Edison Edmond, this is the offensive line, left to right. Holly St. Molest, number 55, in the center. Malachi Enriquez, Jazzy Valentine, and Josiah Mangiello on the right side. The big guys, the big dudes, see what they're going to do. This is, again, number 5, Hutchinson, who weaves his way up to around the 35-yard line. That's where Wekiva will begin this season.
Justin Hutchinson on the return for the Mustangs. He takes the ball out to the 32-yard line of Wekiva territory, and the Mustangs will begin their first possession of Season 16 from there.
And so your skilled players, under center, Tyree Davis, his second season. We'll talk a lot about him today. Made tremendous improvement during the offseason. Behind him is Terrell Weathers, who took over the starting running back position during the second half. The receivers in the slot, Gainey, Bennett, Putnam, and Gay. And we begin the season with Weathers pounding ahead.
Terrell Weathers on the carry for the Mustangs. He has the ball out to the 37-yard line for a gain of 5 on the carry. It brings up 2nd and 5 for the Mustangs.
So a good start for Wekiva. And might as well start now. Tyree Davis, of course, he came into last season, a quarterback battle, if you will. The other quarterback, and I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but just don't feel the need to mention his name as we get the handoff again to Weathers. He pounds ahead on that left side, cuts right, 50, 40, 35, 30, giving chase. The Olympia defense finally drags him out of bounds inside the red zone.
All the way into the Olympia end zone, finally stopped and pushed out of bounds by Jalen Thompson of the Titans, and the Mustangs will have 1st and 10 from the Titan 15-yard line.
So a 48-yard gain on the second play of the game for Weathers in Wekiva, and they are in the red zone, as you just heard Mark say, 1st and 10 from their own, from the Olympia 15, the first down of the season. And this is Jalen Putman. He weaves and ducks and dives, picks up a few yards. That'll bring up 2nd and mid-distance. And so continuing to talk about Davis, obviously going from a sophomore to a junior, he's physically grown. He's about 6 inches taller, put on about 20, maybe even 25 pounds, but that is all muscle. And talked about Davis throughout the offseason with Coach Schwartz, and he was just very high on Davis. He's not only put on that physical maturity, bigger and stronger, but he's also showing it. He's using it well on the field. He's much more accurate, much more efficient, and you're going to see that tonight now as Wekiva continues. This is their basic slot, the one running back offset, Putman to the left, and Davis now take a run at it. And oh no, trouble, disaster, the fumble picked up by Olympia, and just when it looked like we were getting cooking, the self-inflicted mistake.
Davis on the carry. Ball lost to a fumble. And we see the officials conferring here to figure out who has possession and where the ball went dead. And of course, unfortunately, because of the weather, we need tents on the field to protect our athletic training staff, and we need tents up top to protect our cameras. So our cameras are actually positioned in the top row of the bleachers instead of the crow's nest so that we can protect them from the rain. And that's why, unfortunately, we've got a little bit of an obstructed view here, so we apologize for that, but it is the best we can do under the circumstances.
Okay, and I'm not sure exactly what happened, but Wekiva does appear to still have the football.
Yeah, it may have been down by contact, which is what I think the officials are discussing on the field now. One way or the other, it's not a great play for Wekiva. I'm seeing a 3rd down marker out at the 23-yard line, which would suggest to me that at a minimum we lost 5 yards on the play. But that would certainly be a much better outcome than losing the possession entirely.
Yeah, and again, Mark and I, we are sitting up here in the crow's nest at the press box. You know, unfortunately, at the high school level, you don't have quite the number as large a crew as you do at the college and pro levels.
So the flag is waved off.
Okay, which, just let me finish, which means we don't have spotters up here, and quite frankly, it looked like Davis fumbled that ball before he went down, before he even started to go down.
Yeah, of course, the same blue tent that's obstructing your view is also obstructing our view. So the Mustangs are ruled down by contact prior to the fumble occurring, and so it will be a loss of 5 yards on the play, which will bring up 3rd and 13, but the Mustangs will retain possession of the ball.
Yeah, first break of the season for Wekiva. It is 3rd and 18, though, and they're going to try to run the ball, rush it. I think that's more of a safety play. That was Joshua Bennett, the transfer wide receiver, running on that sweep, the inside pitch. And Wekiva accomplishes his purpose of holding on to the ball. And so that'll bring up 4th down.
Joshua Bennett on the carry, picking up a gain of 8. 4th and 5 coming up from the Mustangs. And so here now, Wekiva has had some inconsistency, we'll say, when it comes to their kicking game over the last few seasons. Every once in a while, they are able to get a ringer from the soccer team, and when that doesn't happen, then you will see Wekiva essentially play 4-down ball.
Nathan Furcherly handling the kicking duties last week, but Coach Schwartz inside that 20-yard line said, let's just go for it. And they're going to get the pass, inside pass to Gainey, the transfer. And he weaves and ducks and dives and gains that 1st down. And there is an example of Davis not only showing his improvement physically and being able to pass, but great leadership as well.
Tyree Davis to Tyrell Gainey for the Mustang. 4th down conversion. 1st and goal, Wekiva from the 5.
So a 13-yard gain on the first pass of the regular season. And as you just heard Mark say, that's up 1st and goal from the Olympia 5. And certainly, Mark, if they were able to punch this ball in, that would be a great start. I always say being a former athlete is so much better to be playing ahead than from behind.
Yeah, certainly scoring on the first drive of the season would be a huge boon, and
there it is, pounding inside, lowering that shoulder.
Tyree Davis on the QB keeper into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown.
And so the anticipation and potential comes to fruition. Tyree Davis ramming that ball from the 5-yard line, and Wekiva takes a 6-0 lead. 8:28 remaining in the first half, or first quarter. A 60-yard play, a drive, 7 plays, 6 rushes and 1 pass, and give the PAT to Wekiva. 7-0, 8:28 remaining in the first quarter.
Christ Innocent on the PAT. It is good, and the Mustangs take a 7-0 lead over the Titans to open up the first drive of season 16.
Who kicked that? 33? And so you can hear in the background the marching Mustangs. Certainly a lot to march about right now. A very efficient drive, and just cannot say it enough. Apologies if it sounds like a broken record, but it is going to be a main theme throughout the first half of the season. The improvement under Tyree Davis, even though they only threw 1 pass, a much more efficient drive than we saw last year, even at the end of the season. They came out, had a game plan, looked like they knew what they were going to do, and executed it on 7 plays. Again, 6 rushes, 1 pass. That was a 13-yard gain, 68 yards in total. And a little psych out.
That's for the blooper reel.
Yep. Definitely not going to make Sports Center top 10 tonight, even if they did do high school plays.
And so we'll have a flag on the play. I think this is going to be a generic illegal procedure. Yep. Illegal procedure called against the Mustangs.
Now, again, Wekiva won 40-7 last week against Pinellas Park. An explosive performance. First play of the game, a 70-yard pass from Davis to Gainey, and they were off to relate to their nickname, on their high horse, and they never stopped in that first half. But there were a couple of weak spots, a couple of areas that Coach Schwartz did want to see the team improve on, and one of which was kickoff returns, defending kickoff returns, and this time I'm not sure if that was an official kickoff. Heard whistles all over the place.
Xavier Tucker was back for the kickoff return. However, the whistle had not sounded to start the play yet.
Okay.
So that play will be done over.
So we heard all kinds of whistles, but they were not the whistles that we were looking for.
So the first time Wekiva was supposed to kick the ball and didn't. The second time they were not supposed to kick the ball and did. So maybe the third time will be the charm.
So
it's week 1.
So again, gray skies, which have turned to nighttime. Still, you can feel the rain in the air, the precipitation, the moisture, but certainly a very boisterous and festive crowd to come out for Wekiva's first game of the season. I'd say we probably got about 200, 250 people in attendance rooting on the Mustangs, who are wearing their brand new jerseys, very glossy looking, shiny.
And there you saw the line judge once again giving Innocent a pat on the shoulder, like, hey, let's get it right this time, huh? All right, that was a legal kick, and this is going to count this time. Tucker gets it and does not get far.
No, and again, certainly a good start for one of Coach Schwartz's concerns, defending the kickoff.
Innocent on the return for the Titans. Third times is the charm, and that one will stick and be official. That puts the ball at the 37-yard line of Titan territory. They will take over from there with 1st and 10.
So Olympia, the Titans, with a little bit better field position than Wekiva's, 5 yards better. And Wekiva's defense, out front, you have Davian Watkins, James Mixon in the middle, and Omar Hayes on the
Ball
right
out!
side.
Ball out!
And
And it is recovered by Wekiva. Justin Hutchinson picks up a drop from Feliciano, and the Mustangs will take over at their own 47-yard line.
Well, I was going over the defense, and Wekiva didn't even want to give me a chance, so certainly that's a good sign. Certainly a sacrifice I'm willing to make. But let me just finish that defense real quick. Your other defensive lineman, the end, is Sincere Edwards, of course, the UCF signee. He will move around, so he does not play one way or the other. Your other three players, again, Watkins, Mixon, Hayes, left to right. Your linebackers, Cargill, McGray, and then your secondary, the nickelback, Perkins, cornerbacks, Hutchinson, Gainey, and your safeties, Romel Smith and Jabari Smith, as Wekiva looking to up that 7-0 lead. Tyree Davis bursting into the end zone from 5 yards out to give them that 7-0 lead, and they go to work in that one-back set. 8:02 remaining in the first quarter. The handoff to Weathers. He dances and isn't going to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Terrell Weathers on the carry. Stop made by Jonathan Hardim. That is a loss of 2 on the play. Brings up 2nd and 12 for the Mustangs from their own 45-yard line.
So not only does Wekiva get the fumble recovery and take possession of the ball, but they also have excellent field position just before midfield, even with that 2-yard loss.
And I'll point out that while high school football, not having the scouting that college and professional football do, is notoriously difficult to forecast in the preseason. Until you actually see the teams get out and play, it's really hard to get a sense of what's going on as the completion is made from Davis to Anthony Gay. And that is going to be enough to get the ball across midfield, and it is spotted at the Titans' 43-yard line. That is near first down yardage, and we'll wait for the official spot. Meanwhile, what I was about to say is that Olympia is ranked 17th in the Super 16, which I only know because the Sentinel publishes the next 5 that would have made the Super 16. Wekiva is 15th, so 15 versus 17. In theory, should be a good matchup to start. It looks like, though, that completion is not going to go in the books.
Yeah, I believe that's a holding penalty. They're moving it back 10 yards.
And that previous completion will not withstand the test of time as holding is called against the Mustang offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul, and it brings up 2nd and 20.
So excellent field position, gone by the wayside. Not bad field position, but certainly not nearly as good. And Davis will lead them up to the line, and that would have gotten them back to the original line of scrimmage.
The pass intended for Voltaire falls incomplete. That'll bring up 3rd and 20 for the Mustangs from their own 37-yard line. So the Mustangs not putting on much of an impressive offensive show on their second possession. Of course, this is essentially a free possession anyway. And now Davis well back from the line of scrimmage. Shotgun formation here, directing traffic, using up the play clock. 6:47 to go here in the first quarter. We'll have the water break coming up shortly. Snap away. Davis looking for options. Got some time bought for him by the Mustang offensive line. Has all day. Flag in the backfield. And he's got his man pending the outcome of the flag. The pass is complete from Davis to Tyrell Gainey. There is a flag in the backfield. It's a first down if the play stands. Holding called against the Mustang offense. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul and a replay of 3rd down. So, Neil, 2 completions out of the last 3 attempts called back on a holding call.
Yeah, that's 3 penalties for 25 yards now. No problems in the first drive, but all 3 of those penalties in the second drive. And again, this drive started at their own 47. They're now inside their own 30. I believe.
Ball spotted after the penalty marker at the 25-yard line of Mustang territory. That's 4th down and a country mile to go. But we've reached the midpoint of the first quarter. With 6 minutes, 25 seconds remaining, we will pause for a water break.
Wekiva with the 7-0 lead, taking the opening possession, 68 yards. Davis bursting in from 5 yards out.
Greater Orlando area restaurants are grateful to be a part of the 2022 Metro Conference football season. Play hard and eat more chicken at your Greater Orlando Chick-fil-A. Baptiste Orthodontics and Dentistry for Kids is a proud sponsor of Wekiva Athletics with 3 convenient offices in Apopka, Orlando, and Windermere. It's never been easier to have a healthy new smile with braces and aligners for all ages, plus dentistry for kids exclusively in Apopka. And we'll come back to live action here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. The Mustangs facing a deadly 4th and 32, and there's the Hail Mary. It was closer to the Titans than it was to the Mustangs. That's not going to get it done, and Wekiva's going to have to punt. The pass intended for Tyrell Gainey falls incomplete. Coverage provided by Jalen Thompson. Wekiva now looking at 4th and 32. So obviously from here, field goal out of the question, and you absolutely positively do not want to go over on downs virtually inside the red zone. So the first punt of the day for Wekiva. And it's going to stop before it starts. We got more laundry on the field. And if this is against Wekiva, then they're going to have a very, very long kick to make. Dead ball prior to the snap. False start called against the Mustang offense. That's a 5-yard penalty from the previous spot and a replay of 4th down. That'll bring up 4th and 43 for the Mustangs. And more whistling. Dead ball prior to the snap. Another false start called against the Mustangs. 5 more yards taken away from Wekiva. That pushes them back to the 9-yard line. Now 4th and 48. So apparently Wekiva's punter just wants to show off because Wekiva has now moved the ball backwards on nearly every play. It's a good-looking punt. It would have been better looking if it had started 20 yards further up. And Olympia is happy to just let it roll dead. Aaron McCray will down the punt inside Mustang territory. Titans will start with amenable field position at the Mustang 44-yard line. So that's something that the Mustangs should be prepared to hear about at halftime from Coach Schwartz. They're probably going to get an earful about that possession. Penalty after penalty after penalty after penalty. 4 penalties on that possession. 2 holding calls. 2 false starts. But now the defense doing their job. McCray on the tackle, and no gain for the Titans on their opening play. 2nd and 10 coming up. Again, we want to welcome you to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. I'm Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, and Neil Fisher has stepped away for just a moment to do some photography, but he'll be back shortly up here in the press box with me for the call of the game. I want to thank our friends at Varsity Sports Network carrying us on their Orlando channel tonight. We're also live on YouTube and the NFHS Network. Pass is complete to Donovan Knight. Stop made after the catch by, the pass is complete to Darian Rangel, and the stop is made after the completion by Kadar Karjal, and that'll be a gain of 6 on the play, and it brings up 3rd and 4. And I've got Keith Dickerson of the Wekiva TV broadcast production program here with me while Neil has stepped down to the field to do some photography for the Chief. We've got a low snap. It's bobbled, and the quarterback falls on it, but not before the damage is done. Low snap and a fumble will stay with Olympia possession. Sincere Edwards is there to make sure that there's no advancement, and that pulls the ball back to the 45-yard line. That'll be a loss of 7 on the play, and it brings up 4th and 11. And Mr. Dickerson, welcome once again to the broadcast. You've got your crew here if you want to give them the shout-outs tonight. All of our videographers bringing you the action here from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.
Ooh, that was close. Yeah, we've got Miss Hannah Bursey, one of my seniors, and then we've got Emmelinda Monplaisir, although she's hanging out with the band nerds over there, too. She's wearing 2 hats tonight. We got Vinny Henderson and Isaac Cervantes also. Isaac's actually directing right now, so shout out to him. He learned it in 20 minutes, I think, earlier. So having a good old time.
The pass falls incomplete. That turns the ball over on downs to the Mustangs. They'll start from their own 45-yard line with 1st and 10. So again, we want to acknowledge the partnership between the Wekiva Athletics program and Wekiva TV broadcast production. I think we do it as well as anybody in Orange County or even the state of Florida, bringing you live streams. We were doing it before it was cool, and certainly during the pandemic, it was the only way that a lot of our fans could watch. Now we are glad to be able to welcome our fans back here in person to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, but we know that we still have friends and family from parts beyond who are not able to get here in person on a Friday night, and we're glad that we're able to bring you these live streams with the quality that we are, thanks to our partnership with the TV broadcast production crew here at Wekiva. No gain on the first play of the possession. It brings up 2nd and 10 for the Mustangs from their own 45-yard line.
Go ahead.
No, the Mustangs escaped the abysmal second possession that they had, although, again, it was a free possession, a possession that they never should have had in the first place because they picked it up off of a turnover. Nevertheless, they went backwards about 50 yards on that possession, and so now they're trying to redeem themselves. Here we have the handoff from Tyree Davis to Terrell Weathers, and that gets the ball back to the original line of scrimmage, but no further. In fact, it'll be a loss of 2 on the play. That brings up 3rd and 12. And we've got another officials conference going on here at the 42-yard line.
Very fortunate. I know you guys probably thought I was annoying. I was really worried about the weather earlier. So it ended up being a really nice night tonight after all that cleared up earlier.
Offsetting unsportsmanlike conduct penalties are called against both teams. And so we'll wind the clock here and get back to action, 3rd and 12. And hopefully that's the last we hear about unsportsmanlike conduct tonight from either team. Snap away. Davis looking for options. He's got a man. He's tripped up. Will he get the flag? No. They're going to say that was clean play. Pass intended for Joshua Bennett is broken up by Jalen Thompson, and that will bring up 4th down for the Mustangs. And somehow the ball has moved backwards 2 yards from where it was before, and I don't completely understand how.
Well, Kaiva's doing the 3 steps backwards, 1 big step forward, it seems, tonight. So
I could have sworn that was on the 43-yard line of the previous snap, but it's 41 now.
Week one.
4th and 14, and Wekiva will kick the ball away. It's high, so lots of hang time. We'll see how much distance it gets. And Olympia is going to take it in spite of being outmatched and slammed to the ground.
I thought he signaled for a fair catch there, but I guess not.
Jalen Thompson on the reception of the punt for the Titans. He's taken down almost immediately by the Mustang kicking team. I believe that was Putnam on the takedown. And the Titans will start at their own 22-yard line with 1st and 10. So that one would make the WWE highlight reel. It was clean, it was legal, but...
Nice suplex.
Yeah, Jalen Thompson will feel that in the morning. Snap away, we're going to go to the side, got an open man, pulls it in, and out dances the Mustangs, but then takes it from behind. Xavier Tucker on the completion. Kanar Karjal has the stop from behind for the Mustangs, and that will take the ball up to the 29, almost 30-yard line, and it brings up 2nd and 1.
There you go for a 1st down.
Tucker on the carry, stopped by Smith, and that is across the 35-yard line to the 37. It's enough for a Titan 1st down. So Tucker at 5'10" and weighing 155 pounds soaking wet is certainly not the biggest guy on the team, but he can zip through the defensive line for the Titans, and that makes him a threat. Now we'll go for a quick little screen and into dangerous territory. Pass is complete to Josh Evans. Aaron McCray is right there for the stop. And we're going to get a stoppage of play here. Personal foul called against the Titan offense. That was after the play, and so the down will count. It's a 15-yard penalty from the end of the play, and it pulls the Titans back to the 23-yard line. Line to gain is the 47. And now we've got another stoppage. Shazar Roberts on the carry. That takes the ball up to the 23-yard line. And that will take us to the end of the first quarter. It is 7-0 Mustangs at the end of the opening 12 minutes here in our Season 16 opener from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium in Apopka. For those of you here in the stadium, we want to remind you that we are live streaming tonight's game in not one, not two, but 3 places. We have that for you on Varsity Sports Network Orlando channel. We have it on YouTube on the channel Wekiva Sports, and we have it on the NFHS network. So if you're here in the stadium and you have friends back home who could watch us online because they're not able to be here in person, make sure you let them know where they can find that. If you are listening to us online right now, welcome, and we are glad you're here. We'll be back in just a few moments with the second quarter. Looking for a savory breakfast option before school? Enjoy a warm, buttery Chick-fil-A chicken biscuit. Flavorful, hand-breaded, tender chicken paired with a lightly buttered biscuit makes the perfect start to your early morning.
When he tells you. Oh.
And the long pass to open up the second quarter is going to be no good. Pass intended for Josh Evans falls incomplete. That'll bring up 4th and 21 for the Titans.
Sorry for the blooper there. We thought we were in commercial still.
Yeah, well, this is not the NFL. We don't. They don't give us a 5-minute ad break.
The refs don't care about Chick-fil-A.
No, they, well, I'm sure they do. I'm sure they enjoy Chick-fil-A very much, but not enough to give an ad break any longer. Titans will punt the ball away. There it goes from T.D. Cross. T.D. Cross's punt is down just inside Mustang territory. Ball spotted at the 45-yard line. Mustangs will take over from there with 1st and 10. So now both the Mustangs and the Titans have had the pleasure of one possession each, starting in opponent territory. Stick around at halftime. We'll have the visiting band and the Mustang band performing for you. And we're lucky to have them tonight. We thought if the rain had kept up, we might not be able to get the instruments out here. As we get a screen complete to Joshua Bennett.
Looks like maybe a yard to the line of scrimmage there.
Ball is spotted about 6 inches from where it started. 2nd down.
Yeah, it's nights like tonight where I'm like, man, if only we had football indoors like basketball and volleyball.
Yeah, although, honestly, I mean, of course, now that it's dark, you can't really see what the sky looks like, but it actually has turned out to be a rather pleasant night. The rain cooled things off, and, of course, the benches are still wet, so we hope our fans brought a towel with them, but other than that, it's actually rather a pleasant evening out here. Mustang carry by Jalen Putman, taken down by Thompson. That puts the ball at the 34-yard line, and it is just enough for a Mustang first down. Snap away to Davis, shoots a bullet, and catches Gainey, already on his knees, but slow and steady wins the race here as the Mustangs slog down the field. That pass to Gainey is good for 4 yards. It pulls up 2nd and 6 from the Titans' 30-yard line. And this time we'll go for the handoff. Davis looking for Putman, bounces off the first wave of Titans, but gets caught by the second. Putman on the carry, and Joey Evans is there for the stop. That'll be a TFL as the ball comes back to the 33-yard line for a loss of 3 on the play. 3rd and 9 coming up for the Mustangs. So far, Davis favoring the pass a little bit on play selection, but Wekiva so far has had a couple of good looks at some outside carries. All the real fireworks have been in the air, but the QB keeper was the one that actually put points on the board. This time he hands off going the other way, and the handoff is made to Tyree Filius. That moves the ball up 1 yard, and it's going to bring up 4th and 8 for the Mustangs from the Titan 32-yard line. So from the 32, my fearless prediction is that Wekiva is going to go for it here. I think that's too far for them to reliably kick a field goal, but it's too close for them to find it worthwhile to punt. So I think we are effectively in that kind of no man's land that's 4-down territory. And now we hear the Olympia band coming up with the suspenseful music for 4th down. Snap to Davis. This is going to be a pass. No, it's not either. He sees a lane, takes it. Can he get to the line? I think he did. Tyree Davis looking downfield for an option, sees a lane in front of him, and he is across the 25-yard line for the Mustang. 1st down. So Davis using his noggin there to make something out of nothing. Secondary was very well covered by the Titans, but they left an opening down the middle, and with virtually nobody left to block once he got past the original line of scrimmage. I mean, credit to the Wekiva offensive line letting him get off the starting blocks there, but after he got past that, it was all him. So turning on the afterburners, picks up the Mustang 1st down, second 4th down conversion of the night for Wekiva, and now they go to work again. There's the handoff, finds a lane, and that's going to be Filius getting inside the red zone. Tyree Filius down to the 10-yard line for a Mustang 1st down. Back-to-back 1st downs for Wekiva. Now 1st and goal. And this is now the 2nd time that Wekiva has been in striking distance. So first possession out of the gate was brilliant. Second possession is one that Wekiva would like to forget. And now this 3rd possession is looking like the Mustangs are knocking on the door of their 2nd touchdown.
I feel like definitely the last 4 or 5 years, every time we have a great running back game going on, it's hard to stop them once they get going.
And there was some movement prior to the snap there. You can see that from a satellite. Dead ball prior to the snap. False start called against the Mustang offense. That's 5-yard penalty from the previous spot. And a replay of 1st down. So now 1st and goal from the 15 as Wekiva continues to be beleaguered by penalties. And they make a 5-yard donation to the Titan cause. We are probably moments away from our 2nd water break. Those are called at the dead ball nearest the 6-minute mark of each quarter. And got an open man, see if he can dance around. He breaks 2 tackles.
And he's there.
Number 22, Anthony Gay III, breaking 2 tackles into the end zone for Mustang. Touchdown. And Wekiva has already cleared the stands to get ready for their halftime show. So should we sing the Wekiva fight song together? Go Wekiva Mustangs, we stampede to win. Victory is now upon us, fight to the end.
I can only hum it, I'm not going to lie. And are we going for... Oh, no, we're done.
Yeah, we've got, that's Christ Innocent. And he's got it. Innocent has the PAT. The Mustangs take a 14-0 lead as we hit the midpoint of the second quarter. 6 minutes, 4 seconds remaining in the first half. Mustangs up by 2 TDs. Those of you in the arena or in the stadium here with us, we would like to remind you that we have some goodies for you at the concession stand. Of course, our concession stand is sponsored by the Wekiva Band, and your purchases there benefit them. We have the concession stand in Building 10 open for our visitors. If you are a Titan fan and over on the other side of the stadium, the concession stand is behind you for your convenience. You don't have to come all the way over here. Of course, our regular concession stand open in Building 9 for the home team. And we also have our Italian ice. Kona Italian ice here in the house if you want a cool treat for the evening. Innocent set to kick off.
And, ooh, I think Olympia gave that up. They thought it was going out of bounds. Wow, what an easy give up there.
And that was touched by the Titans and then picked up by Ramel Smith. That puts the ball at the 5-yard line.
You saw the look on him. He thought it was going to roll out, so he kind of just gave up. But, man, curved in at the last second. It looks like that tired defense is going to have to come back out now.
So Wekiva goes back to work. First and goal from the 5. And that certainly will not help them out.
Yeah, I think Coach Schwartz is going to have an uncomfortable conversation about penalties at halftime.
Yeah, last week, 10 penalties for 60 yards was a 40-7 victory. Very impressive when you look at what they did, but still 10 penalties.
And, of course, if you remember that fateful second possession that Wekiva had where they went backwards about 50 or 60 yards over the course with 2 holding calls, 2 false starts.
And minus 5 yards, now second and goal from the 10. Wekiva trying to punch that ball in and take a 3-touchdown lead. That was Weathers.
Terrell Weathers on the carry. He takes the ball up to the 7-yard line for a gain of 3.
And now you can see where those fumbles, why they are so important here. Even if you don't get any yardage, you're inside the 5, but because of that fumble, you're now having to snap the ball from the 7.
And that was not a forced fumble. That was just a mental miscue there. That's early season jitters there from the Titans. And the Mustangs took advantage. Good heads-up play by Ramel Smith, who thought he was there to make a tackle, but said, well, gosh, if nobody else wants it, I guess I'll take the ball.
Out of the one-back set, Davis, a quick swing pass.
The pass bounces off of Joshua Bennett. That falls incomplete, and it's going to bring up 3rd and goal from the 7-yard line. So Wekiva so far 2 for 2 in the red zone, trying to make it 3 for 3 here. On their week 1 outing, again, Wekiva starts the season seeded 15th in the Orlando Sentinel Super 16. Olympia is 17th out of 16, so they just missed the cutoff for the official Super 16, but they were acknowledged with an honorable mention by the Sentinel, so at least on paper,
so
with whatever little data we have to go on, these two teams should be evenly matched for the season opener.
So 4th down.
Wekiva the
for
slight
Wekiva,
favorite here.
And that was the one-back set. Putnam lining up to the left of Davis, but we're not going to get the play off. A timeout called. Somebody didn't like what they saw.
The Mustangs request their first timeout of the first half. So we made it all the way inside the 5-minute mark before anybody takes a timeout.
So Wekiva's sitting on that 14-0 lead. They scored on the opening possession, driving the ball 68 yards on 8 plays. And then scoring on their last possession. A Davis to Anthony Gay pass. 15 yards. Both PATs good. And now we're looking at 4th and goal. 4:40 remaining in the first half. Opening game for both these teams. Wekiva with possession. Olympia on defense. Wekiva in the maroon jerseys. Gold numbers. Davis lines them up. 2 backs in the backfield. Fake handoff. And into the corner. A bullet right to...
Passes through the hands of Tyrell Gainey, and that is incomplete. That will turn the ball over on downs to the Titans. So nothing ventured, nothing lost. That's a possession the Mustangs shouldn't have had anyway, and taking over on the 7-yard line is about as good of an outcome as you would have expected for the original kickoff. So perhaps a moral victory still scored for Wekiva there, but not able to put points on the board on that turnover.
Yeah, I got to think if you're Coach Schwartz, so you're still coming out of that disappointed. Had a chance to get that lead up to at least 17. So Olympia takes over now. 1st and 10 at their own 10-yard line. Excuse me, the 7-yard line. They get up to the 10-yard line as the clock continues to click towards halftime.
Shazar Roberts on the carry, taken down by James Mixon of the Mustang defense after a gain of 2 yards, brings up 2nd and 8 for the Titans.
So 2nd and 7 from the 10-yard line. And they go to the pass. Got a man open along that line. Jukes jives along that right sideline, and he's going to pick up some nice yardage. Couple of first down in terms of the distance.
Xavier Tucker on the catch, and he'll get quite a few yards after the catch before being taken down by Ramel Smith. That's enough for a Titan first down, taking the ball out to the 28-yard line for a gain of 17. So far, Neil, we've seen every time in both directions, whether it was Wekiva on offense or Olympia on offense, any time it's been one-on-one, the guy with the ball has outdanced the guy on defense.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So ball at the Olympia 33 as Gaines. He'll line his team up, back to work, 6'2", 205-pound, hands it off.
Nice spin move there to get a few extra yards. Shazar Roberts on the carry, stop made by Aaron McCray, and that will bring up 2nd and 7 after a gain of 3 yards.
Roberts, the only tight end to carry the ball tonight. Under 3 minutes, 14-0 deficit faced by Olympia. Gaines drops back, and caught! 2-man route. And Gaines does a nice job. Put the ball right in the proverbial breadbasket. And Olympia feeling some momentum now as they continue no huddle offense.
Pass is complete. Ramel Smith had the stop, but not before it's pulled down for a big Titan first down. Now inside the 30 to the 29-yard line of Mustang territory.
It's a
40-yard completion for the Titans.
41-yard gain, back to work, and this time it's Olympia making the miscue as we drop under 2.5. So neither team looking in much of a hurry right now, Mark. As Roberts carries, I believe that was Roberts who the ball was attempting to be handed off to. Either case, it's a 1-yard loss. Gaines drops back, goes to the other side, the left field, open man. That was
pass intended
Evans.
for Josh Evans, falling incomplete. Coverage provided there by Tyrell Gainey, and that will bring up 3rd and 12 for the Mustangs.
Yeah, Gainey muscling into the line of flight of the ball there at the very last minute. So 1:51 remaining, Olympia trailing 14-0. Wekiva scoring on the very first possession as well as the second possession. And we're going to get a timeout here. So Olympia will take some time to talk about what they want to do on 3rd down, 3rd and 11.
Titans request their first timeout of the first half with 1:51 seconds, and looking at 3rd and 12 from the Mustang 30-yard line. You'll have the Titan and the Mustang marching bands coming up for you at halftime. This season, give the gift of a healthy smile. Visit Baptiste Orthodontics and Dentistry for Kids. 3 convenient offices in Apopka, Orlando, and Windermere with braces and aligners for all ages at all 3 of those locations. And exclusively in Apopka, you can make an appointment with Dr. Alma, their board-certified pediatric dentist. Baptiste Orthodontics and Dentistry, proud sponsors of Wekiva Athletics. Welcome back to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Mark Barchi here with Neil Fisher for the call of Week 1, the first official game. Of course, Wekiva did well in the preseason classic last week. That game does not count, though. This one does. Titans looking to get on the board, and the pass is tipped away by Jabari Smith. It falls incomplete, and that will bring up 4th and 12 for the Titans.
And now they're in what you like to call, Mark, no man's land in terms of punting or field goal.
Yeah, it's too close to punt, too far away for a field goal attempt unless you've got an NFL quality kicker on your team. And so this is essentially 4-down territory.
Yeah, 47 yards if you go for the field goal. Gaines, who, by the way, is making his first start at the varsity level, out of the shotgun, quick pass, beautiful tackle, upending. But
pass
it's not going to be enough.
To TD Cross. Jabari Smith is there to make the immediate stop. It is close to the first down marker. And we'll have to wait and see what the official spot is. It looks like they might be coming out to measure.
7. So while we get that measurement, quick look at the scoreboard.
Nope, they're not going to measure it. They gave it to him.
Okay.
Ruling is that it is enough
running
for a first down, and so that puts the ball inside the 20 to the 19-yard line. 1st and 10 Titans.
11-yard gain. Olympia threatening for the first time today.
Pass intended for Xavier Tucker falls incomplete. That'll bring up 2nd and 10 for the 19. So now the Titans racing both the down count and the clock, although 1:16 is, of course, plenty of time in football to do some damage.
Yeah, they'll also get a chance with the incomplete pass to catch their breath. So as Mark mentioned, Wekiva comes in ranked number 15 in the Orlando Sentinel Super 16, Olympia 17. They're not formally considered a part of that, but they're only one spot out. Be top 20 in any national ranking. Gaines steps back and looking to go with that swing pass, a wheel route to Roberts.
Shazar Roberts falls incomplete, and that will bring up 3rd down for the Titans.
So Wekiva catching a break.
Yeah, that one, he was open. He could have made, I don't think he would have gotten the first down, but I think he probably could have gotten at least 5-6 yards out of that.
Yeah, it certainly would have created a much more manageable 3rd down situation.
So now it's up to the Wekiva defense. Of course, the fact that Olympia has been selecting pass plays also means that the clock has not been running. Of course, both teams have 2 timeouts left, so 72 seconds on the clock, really not a major factor in this drive. Here's the snap. It's low, pulls it in. Airs it out. Got a man. Good coverage. Did he pull it in? He thinks he did. No! The officials are signaling he is out of bounds. The pass is caught by Romello Walker, but he is ruled out of bounds. So that will be an incomplete pass and bring up 4th and 10 for the Titans. So nice work there by Justin Hutchinson, who forced Walker out of bounds.
Yeah, Hutchinson, the senior wide receiver, who, by the way, state qualifier in a couple of the glamour events, the 100-meter and I believe the 200-meter in track and field. But, yeah, nice job of constricting the amount of territory that the receiver had to work with. And, yeah, Hutchinson 100, 200-meter qualifier along with part of the 4x100 meter this past May.
Well, there you see that speed turned up there. And, again, that pass, I mean, it's hard to see from our vantage point, but it was right on the line of the end zone. And you could see Walker celebrating, thinking that he had it. And now we're going to...
As was his teammates.
The Titans request their second timeout of the first half. So we'll take a quick break with them, and we will be back with the last 65 seconds of Q1 and Q2 here to open up Season 16 of Mustang football from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.
It's 4th down still, right, for Olympia?
Chick-fil-A of Greater Orlando is proud to partner with Orange County Public Schools. The 2022 Metro Conference football season is powered by your local Chick-fil-A location. Don't forget to eat more chicken. And for those of you here in the stadium, we have an announcement from our admin team. There is a Jeep Wrangler in the lot with their lights on. We're delighted that you came to join us tonight. We'd be even more delighted if you're able to leave at the end. So make sure that you don't have a dead battery. Jeep Wrangler in the lot with their lights on. Welcome back to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. 4th and 10, the scenario for the Titans, just barely inside the edge of the Mustang red zone. Had a great look at the end zone to Walker on the previous play, and that one, nobody near it. You see Tucker there looking to the officials for some help, and he's not going to get any. That pass falls incomplete, and it turns the ball over on downs to the Mustangs.
Yeah, that was the proverbial, even if there was pass interference, it didn't affect the outcome. That pass was so wide of the receiver. So Wekiva will take over, 1st and 10.
And they'll be just inside the 20. They'll be at their own 19-yard line, so that's an 81-yard field.
And they'll have 59 seconds to work with. So now if you're Coach Schwartz, see what he wants to call here, if he's going to go aggressive. And yes, he is going to go aggressive. Davis, long pass, and that was intended for Hutchinson, who of course came up with that big play on 3rd down defensively. And again, that was really a situation where nobody had an opportunity to come up with that ball. So I think Coach Schwartz in his second year, coming off a 4-6 season, I think that was let's take one shot down the field and see if maybe we can catch Olympia sleeping. If nothing else, it'll give us more territory to work with.
And nothing ventured, nothing to gain or lose there, so it'll bring up 2nd and 10 now for Wekiva.
One back set with a blocking back.
Much more conventional play this time.
And I believe that's Weathers, who weaves his way all the way down to that left sideline. Good yardage, but again, only 40 seconds remaining.
Terrell Weathers on the carry for the Mustangs, gets the ball nearly to the 1st down marker. He stopped 2 yards shy. 2nd and 2 coming up for Wekiva. So 3rd and 2 now for the Mustangs, and they are saying that he managed to stay in bounds.
So the clock keeps running, and this should be the last play of the first half, as there's only 10 seconds now. Weather lowers the shoulder and just pounds ahead. And
Tyree Davis on the QB keep back to the original line of scrimmage, getting close to the 1st down marker.
Like I
but
said,
it won't matter. Time expires on the 2nd quarter, and that takes us to halftime. 14-0, the score at the end of the opening 2 quarters here in Game 1, Week 1 of Season 16 from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with some halftime shows in just a few minutes.
It's off right now.
Sure.
Good evening, Wekiva High School. We now have the Olympia Titan Marching Band on the field. They are going to be performing today their show entitled Stranded. This is the music of Alex Stode, featuring songs by Ruth B., James Newton Howard, songs You'll Never Walk Alone by Richard Rogers, You Will Be Found by Ben Pasek and Justin Paul, Evolutions Down in the Forest, and then After Going Home. Directors of Olympia Titan Marching Band are Jacob Pickett, Caesar Lengua Miranda, P.J. Walka, and our color guard director is Marla McGarvey. The drum majors for this show is Kyla Abraham, Jake Hill, and Field Commander Lucas DeRoma. We're excited to present to you this year's 2022-23 show, once again entitled Stranded.
Once again, we want to give our thanks to the Olympia Titan Marching Band. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the field, riding Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band. Tonight's performance is under the field command of drum majors Miranda Hennessy and Jarmetria Martin. The band will be performing tonight's selections from our 2022 field show, West Side Story. So now we welcome to the field the Mustang Marching Band for their halftime performance, West Side Story. Now, one thing I will point out is that you will not see as much marching as you will see later in the season tonight. Wekiva has been cursed by weather for the first 2 weeks of the school year. I think they've had maybe a total of 1 day since band camp that they have actually been able to practice outdoors, so nearly all of their practice has been in the band room. So they've had plenty of time to work on their musicianship, not so much time to work on their drill. So you're going to see a little bit more stationary performance tonight than you're accustomed to, but we hope you enjoy their performance of West Side Story. And again, this is under the direction of drum majors Miranda Hennessy and Jarmetria Martin with Wekiva High School Band Director Joshua Grosniklaus. Please enjoy. Drum majors, Miranda Hennessy and Jarmetria Martin. Is the band ready? Take the field for your halftime performance. Once again, Pride of Wekiva, your Mustang Marching Band. And if you are uncertain why you didn't see more actual marching tonight, well, the Mustangs have been cursed by some poor weather in the first 2 weeks of the school year every single day after school. They have been thwarted by lightning in the area and have been unable to work the drill. And so they are going to get on that next week, and when you see them again, then you will get treated to the full Mustang Marching Band experience, which will include that selection and more, as well as the color guard. So we look forward to welcoming them back in the future, but glad that we were able to enjoy their opening selection from West Side Story this evening.
Hey, which camera are you on? With the players? Okay. All right, let's mess with the other camera. Oh yeah, Vinny's camera does.
So we'll come back here to the press box as we've got about 2 minutes to go here before the second half. And Neil, certainly penalties were something that I'm sure Coach Schwartz had an uncomfortable conversation with the team during the break. But if you take that out of the equation, Wekiva had a pretty successful first half.
Yeah, penalties for Wekiva.
You see me shaking?
7 for 40 yards in the first half. So not quite as damaging as you get 7 penalties. You think you're going to probably take on more yardage than 40. But still, there were some penalties that the impact that they had, a couple of them certainly would have kept Wekiva drives alive, kept the ball away from Olympia. And we have a 14-0 lead at halftime. Wekiva, I guess you could say when they've been on, they have been on. 2 long scoring drives, 68 yards, the opening drive of not only this game, the season. 7 plays, 327 taken up. Davis rambling in from 5 yards out. 8:28 remaining in the first half, or the first quarter. And then on their third drive, just entering the second quarter, 6:04. They got the ball just at the beginning of the second quarter, scored 6:04 remaining. It was Davis to Gay, a 15-yard, which came right after a penalty. That was a 55-yard drive. 8 plays took 5:43. And your total yards are 117 for Wekiva, 85 for Olympia. And as we get ready to kick off here, this will be innocent. And a short kick. And good field position for Olympia.
Carmelo Walker on the return for the Titans. He takes it from about the 20 and threads through the kicking team, gets all the way up to the 45-yard line, and that's where the Titans will start their first drive of the second half.
Yeah, and just want to point out again, Wekiva 117 total yards, 85 rushing, 32 in the air to 85, 117 to 85. But Olympia gained 74 of those 85 yards on their last significant drive of the second half. That began at their own 7-yard line and ended on the Wekiva 19. And they decided not to go for a field goal, tried 2 passes, and they both fell incomplete. So Gainey making his first varsity start, lines Olympia up, and the fake handoff to Gaines. And nothing doing. As a matter of fact, some yardage lost. So where I was going with all those total yards is other than one drive, you can look at the Wekiva offense and say, in particular, when they've been on, they have been on, and when they've been off, they really have not done well. But it's really been the defense. Nothing standing out. They haven't done anything spectacular. But, again, they've held Olympia to 85 yards total, 74 coming on that one drive, and that was really late in the second half. This is a completion after the 2-yard loss.
Pass complete to Josh Evans. It's a pickup of 7 after the 2-yard loss, and that will bring up 3rd and 5 from just inside Mustang territory at the 49-yard line.
So Olympia under Travis Gabriel opens up the second half with a rush and a pass, and as you just heard Mark say, they're at the midfield in 3rd and 5. First critical play of the second half. Gainey drops back, has a man, and that shoot right off of his hands. That was Cross.
T.D. Cross, the intended receiver. The pass falls incomplete. It brings up 4th and 5 for the Titans. Yeah, that almost reminded me of baseball coaching, where he swung a little early at that one.
Yeah, that's not perhaps as easy a pass as it looks. You are on a 45-degree angle, and Gainey really zipped that ball in there. He put some heat on it, but still, it was right on the palms of Cross. And Cross is one of those, one of the faces of the Olympia program. So in the meantime, Wekiva catches another break. Wekiva has caught 2 or 3, and they're going to catch another one here. The chase is on. And Cross,
high snap. T.D. Cross is able to fall on it to avoid further disaster for the Titans, but the Mustangs will get excellent field position as that will turn the ball over on downs deep in Titan territory, and Wekiva takes over at the Olympia 23-yard line.
Yeah, and unfortunately, just as a side, those 27 yards lost go to Cross, since he was the one who recovered it, although it was not his fault.
No.
So Wekiva takes over at the Olympia 23-yard line. Excellent field position to really make a statement. And they're going to, pounding and weaving through that.
Terrell Weathers into the end zone for a 23-yard touchdown on the very first offensive drive of the third quarter.
So Wekiva going back to that first quarter and taking a page out of the playbook they used, scoring on the very first possession. This time, though, they do it better in terms of the plays. One play, one rush. Terrell Weathers, who had 44 of the 85 rushing yards in the first half, hits pay dirt, and Wekiva with the 20-0 lead, PAT pending. Innocent lines up with 10-12 remaining. Jabari Smith, the DB, holding. Bad snap. Smith gets it down, though, brings it across his body, and Christian Innocent drills the PAT 21-0. 10-12 remaining in the third quarter.
Innocent has the PAT. 21-0 the score. 10 minutes, 12 seconds remaining in the third quarter here in Week 1 at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.
So, Mark, at this point, with the 21-0 lead for Wekiva in the opener, again, Wekiva comes in ranked number 15 in the Orlando Sentinel Super 16. Olympia ranked number 17. That would be the honorable mention. And even more so than really who's had more of a surge when they've been on, as I talked about when we began the second half, I would really say mistakes have been the difference. Both teams roughly, and again, remember we are high school. We don't have the benefit of instant replay. We don't have spotters. We don't have statisticians. But I would say based on what I've seen tonight, the mistakes have been roughly the same amount, as Olympia is going to get fairly decent position again. Straight ahead running. That was Romello Walker pounding ahead, lowering the shoulder. But the mistakes that Olympia have made have been far more of an impact. And that's because they've been fumbles. Not only have they taken the steam out of Olympia, but they've also put Wekiva in really good scoring position. If nothing else, they've been able to keep that ball on the Olympia side of the field.
Titans will start their second possession of the second half from their own 37-yard line, 1st and 10. And there goes Darian Rangel around the corner, not getting very far. Rangel on the carry for the Titans, and we'll pause for an injury timeout. No gain on the play. It'll be 2nd and 10. We're at 2nd and 9 when we come back.
Yeah, Rangel trying to go off tackle. So 21-0 as we dip under just 10 minutes in the third quarter. The opener from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium for both teams. Hey, yo, can I...
Josh Shipp is shaken up on the play. He makes his way off with the assistance of our athletic training team from the Titans. And again, it'll be 2nd and 8 for Olympia when we get back to live action. All right, back underway here.
Wekiva with the 21-0 lead. Gaines steps back for Olympia in those white uniforms, finds his receiver, and about a 4-yard gain as they try to punch it down that left sideline. Gaines making his first varsity start, replacing C.J. Brooks, the 3-year starter for Olympia. Who caught that? I know. So that'll bring up 3rd and 8, a 2-yard gain. Out of an unusual formation, quick pass and incomplete, slapping that ball down just past the 1st-yard marker.
Pass intended for Josh Evans, stopped by Justin Hutchinson on the coverage, and it'll bring up 4th and 7 for the Titans.
So Wekiva's defense once again comes up big. So it's 2 possessions now in the second half for Olympia. And they've actually lost 30 yards. And we're going to go from bad to worse. Well, that was a Homer Simpson moment there. Dope.
Pass falls.
I thought it was a punt. It was 4th down, so.
The punt, falls in the Mustang territory at the 45-yard line, and so Wekiva will take over from there with 1st and 10.
So an opportunity for Wekiva to really put a stranglehold on this game. They led from the start, taking the opening drive 68 yards on 7 plays, 3:27 chewed up on the clock.
And just a 15-yard punt, or a 15-yard net on the punt, as you mentioned, Neil, just a moment ago. So that definitely doesn't do any favors in the field position game for Olympia. We'll see if Wekiva is able to cash in. Both of these teams have enjoyed pretty solid field position. I think each team has started at least 1 or 2 possessions in opponent territory. This one not quite there, but close.
Davis to Hutchinson.
Beautiful coverage. Oh, my goodness. That was excellent coverage. That was Jalen Thompson knocking the ball away from Justin Hutchinson, the intended receiver, and that brings up 2nd and 10 for the Mustangs.
Yeah, a great jam move there by the defense, by the secondary. And as you just heard Mark say, it would have been 28-0. And that's a play where Coach Schwartz calls that. We had a similar play when Wekiva took over possession with 59 seconds remaining in the first half. Got nothing to lose. If you nail that touchdown, you got a 28-0 lead. In the meantime, the draw and running hard is...
Mustangs' Tyree Phileas takes a gain of 4 before he's taken down by his shoelaces. 3rd and 6 coming up from the 49-yard line.
Yeah, and you can see when Phileas hit the ground, man, he slapped that. They slapped it hard. It was a shoelace tackle. So as Mark said, 3rd and 6, 7:48 remaining in the third quarter. Wekiva with the 21-0 lead. Like to get that first down to at least keep the clock ticking. They're going to hand it off to Bennett, try to sweep him wide right, and a nice gain, and he breaks the tackle, continues to plunge ahead, but there is a flag over on the left hash mark. It came out just as Bennett was rounding the corner.
Joshua Bennett on the carry for the Mustangs and breaking a couple of tackles provisionally has a first down, but there is a flag in the backfield. So we'll wait for the officials, and I think nerves started to get a little frayed there at the end of that play.
Yeah, and I can now see
Coach Schwartz coming out on the field.
Standing between the numbers, the yard numbers, and the left hash mark. Now he's making his way onto the left hash mark, and he's talking to his players.
Yeah, the flag occurred long before the disruption at the end of the play, so I'm not sure what the original flag was about, but then we have the officials conferring at the far sideline, perhaps to see if any additional enforcement action needs to be taken.
Wekiva with 7 penalties for 40 yards in that first half, and certainly it might not have affected the score, which was 14-0 at the time, 21-0 now. But Wekiva probably could have held on to the ball for 4, maybe even 5 minutes more, and really worn this Olympia defense out even more without those penalties.
Drones are not permitted on OCPS campuses per Orange County Public Schools policy. So if you brought a drone with you tonight, we need you to please land that immediately and refrain from any further use. We appreciate your cooperation.
And now we're getting the call for the penalty. And yes, it is going to be against Wekiva, the old holding. So a nice gain by Bennett is wiped out. And again, we don't have the advantage of spotters or getting information here at the high school level.
There are 2 penalties on the play. Holding called against the Mustangs. That's a 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. Then after the play, dead ball foul, personal foul called against the Mustangs. That's a 15-yard penalty assessed after the holding penalty. And so that will pull the ball all the way back to the 25-yard line. And that will bring up 3rd and 30 for the Mustangs.
And
so Neil, I think we've said this once or twice already tonight, but penalties. Penalties.
So to conclude my thought, Mark, that penalty, the holding penalty, was on the right side of the field. So I'm assuming that it was on the right side of the field where it was committed and the play was ran to the left. Of course, that's looking towards the Wekiva offense. And now Davis has to scramble. And was that complete? Well, even if it is, yes, it is complete, but he's going to be way, way short.
Pass is complete to Devin Voltaire, and that is going to put the ball up to the 31-yard line. That's a gain of 6 on the play. It brings up 4th and 24. So, Neil, I mean,
penalties.
Yeah, we've said it over and over again. Unless something dramatically changes about the direction of momentum here, it seems that Wekiva is poised to take the W in Week 1, but it's not the way you want to win. I think Coach Schwartz is going to have a conversation with his players about discipline. In 2 forms. First of all, discipline on clean plays and clean action at the line of scrimmage and avoiding those holding calls and those calls that are actually part of the game, but also discipline after the play and, keeping emotions down and nerves unfrayed. And here we've now reached the midpoint of the third quarter, so we'll pause for an official timeout.
Yeah, 21-0, Wekiva with the 6:32 lead. And to your point, Mark, I would equate the penalties And also mention, it's not just the penalties. There's been a handful of plays, 5 or 6 plays, in which Wekiva, even though they weren't penalized, there were some discipline issues which probably prevented them from getting as much yardage as they could have. But it's like in racing, and I'm going to make this simple because I know not everyone out there is a racing fan, but they have pit stops. I think we all understand that you got to bring the car in, and it's the same thing when you have a tire man who forgets to tightens one of the lug nuts, or the gas man doesn't get all the gas into the gas tank. It's those subtle penalties which might not hurt you at the time, but they will hurt you in a few minutes later, as that is punted by Putnam. And I'll say this, it was better than Olympia's last punt, but still certainly not what Wekiva wanted or needed.
The punt will get the ball to midfield, and Olympia will take over at their own 49-yard line.
So, again, Olympia continues with excellent field position. Opener for both these teams, Wekiva coming off a 4-6 record, ranked number 15 in the Orlando Sentinel Super 16. Some high expectations, expecting a big turnaround this season, but they're going to have to wait.
Sincere Irvin will get some yardage for the Titans. They're down to the 30-yard line. And I misspoke a moment ago. That was a called timeout by Wekiva, so that was their first timeout of the second half. Now we are at the official timeout, the water break for the third quarter. So we'll take a pause here with 6 minutes, 11 seconds remaining in the third quarter. The Titans were officially marked out of bounds at just past the 35-yard line. And so that will be a gain of 16 yards on the previous play. 1st and 10, Titans, when we come back from the break. Chick-fil-A's Greater Orlando area restaurants are grateful to be a part of the 2022 Orlando Metro Conference football season. Play hard and eat more chicken.
And we return to Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Wekiva and Olympia duking it out in the opener as we have an incomplete pass. Wekiva with the 21-0 lead. They scored on their first possession. Tyree Davis capping it off with a 5-yard.
And we've got another athlete slow to get up here.
Yeah, 5-yard dash through the middle. 8:28 remaining in the first quarter. Then in the second, Davis to Gay, a 15-yarder. 6:04 remaining. And here in the third quarter, Wekiva's first play, second overall, a 23-yard bolt straight up the middle. Great job blocking up front by the offensive line by Tyrell Weathers, and that brings your score to 21-0. Now 6:04 remaining. And really the theme of this is, this has been an up-and-down game. More so Wekiva, when they've been on their game, they have been on their game. They have dominated, they have controlled, and they have really been able to set up what they want to set up. But they've also had some mistakes. 7 penalties for 40 yards in the first half. They just took 2 on their last possession at the end of the same play, a 25-yard total. So some work for Wekiva to do.
T.D. Cross shaken up on the play. He makes his way off with the assistance of the Olympia training team. So that's a tough break for Olympia. T.D. Cross is a name that you've heard a lot tonight. And looks like he's okay. I don't see anything serious there. He's limping a little bit, favoring one leg. I think he probably fell awkwardly on the tackle there, but we'll go back to live action here with 2nd and 10 now. Coming up from the 34-yard line. Quick pass away, and it's a little bit out of reach of the intended receiver.
Gaines throwing that incomplete pass. And
Pass intended
Damian,
for Josh Evans, incomplete. 3rd and 10 coming up for the Titans.
yeah, and Gaines had to throw that pass quickly sooner than he would have liked to. He was leaning off his back foot because Watkins was all over him coming from that left side. So as Mark mentioned, that'll bring up 3rd and 10. This is the deepest Olympia's been in the second half. Of course, we're only a half a quarter in. Olympia, self-destructive mistake, fumbling on its first play from scrimmage. And that was, I referred to a couple minutes ago, Tyrell Weathers bolting ahead for 23 yards. That's how they got the ball in the first place. Excuse me, it was actually the third play of the second half. And now Olympia will go to the three receiver set, 2 on the right. A blocking back, split behind on the left. Gaines under pressure again, tries to dump that off, and it hit one of his offensive linemen in the calves. So again, Wekiva played very well defensively in the first half, giving up only 85 yards. But it really wasn't the pressure, it was just keeping everything in front. But now they're starting to get pressure on Gaines.
And we've got a late flag on the play. Well after the dead ball, I saw yellow go high in the air. And we'll see what this is.
Yeah, I see the yellow flag now. It's about 5 feet to the right of the football, where the refs are standing as well.
So all these penalties and other disruptions kind of serving to really slow down the pace of the game. I think the third quarter has taken quite a bit longer than the first two.
And
Dead ball after the play. Personal foul called against the Mustangs. In addition, unsportsmanlike conduct called against the Mustangs. That'll be 15 yards from the end of the play and then half the distance to the goal.
yeah, and
That moves the ball to the 9-yard line, 1st and goal Titans. So at this point, if you're Coach Schwartz, you've got to be livid.
yeah, again, I know it's much of a cliche as it is, but that's why coach's hair turns gray prematurely.
Timeout, Mustangs, and I think that's very obvious why.
Yeah, Coach Schwartz needs to settle the team down. 5:53 remaining in the third quarter from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. Wekiva with the 21-0 lead, but as Mark just mentioned, ball down at their own 9-yard line. The deepest Wekiva has moved the ball in this entire game.
And we'll be back from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium with the conclusion of the third quarter.
So that was 25 yards in total.
Where was the ball before?
It started at the 35, so 20.
So it was 15 for the
Yeah,
first.
it was roughly 25. So we return to live action from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. 21-0 lead for Wekiva. Olympia with possession of the ball in their white jerseys, and they are threatening at the 9. Gaines drops back, and a little too tall and long for his intended receiver.
Pass intended from Gaines to Tucker falls incomplete. That'll bring up 2nd and goal from the 9-yard line.
And Wekiva had actually stopped Olympia at their own 35-yard line. Looked like it was going to be a 3-and-out, and then they got 2 penalties at the end of that third play. The same play, an unsportsmanlike conduct, couple of them, and 25-yard in total, moved the ball inside the 10-yard line.
That's now at least the 4th dead ball penalty that Wekiva has gotten that is not related to the actual play. And again, as you said, this is what turns Coach's hair gray, as we get a carry by T.D. Cross, stopped by Xavier Stevens. And that takes the ball perhaps 1 yard to the 8-yard line, 3rd and goal from the 8. So now Wekiva's defense having to work all the harder with a goal line stand here.
Yeah, now I will say this. If you joined us late, we'll talk about this in a minute. A dump over the middle and incomplete. Couldn't see who came up with that. It was actually two secondary members. Great job. They turned around and cut down that territory and got a hand in the ball.
A soft pass intended there for Cameron James, and that falls incomplete. That brings up 4th and goal from the 8-yard line.
And so Wekiva has not really, the defense has not had to work hard today. They've done a very excellent job. Again, talked about this as we started the second half. They haven't done anything spectacular. They haven't gotten a lot of yards for lost tackles, no sacks, but they've kept the ball in front and held Olympia to only a handful of first downs. Again, we don't keep the stats here. It's high school. We don't have a statistician or a spotter, but I can tell you they haven't gotten more than 5.
Well, what they have gotten has mostly been by penalty.
And Gaines throws that. It was incomplete, and there's a flag.
So, pass intended for Xavier Tucker falls incomplete. Noah Putnam on the coverage and a late flag on the play.
And so where I was going with that is Olympia has only gained 85 yards in the first half. They're only up to around 100 right now.
Pass interference is called against the Mustang defense. That is half the distance to the goal. And a replay of 4th down. So remember, in high school, this is different than the NFL. In high school, pass interference penalties are not an automatic first down. But still, it gives them another shot at the end zone.
Yeah, now from the 4-yard line, critical play, under heat, Gaines throws again, wide open. Couldn't see who brought that down, but the receiver snagged it out, and it's 21-6. 5 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Olympia with the much-needed score and turning the penalties and miscues into points.
TD Cross on the throw to Cameron James for a 4-yard Titan touchdown. And the Titans are on the board 6-0 with 4 minutes, 56 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
You said that was Cross throwing? Who caught it?
17.
So a 4-yard touchdown pass, 4:56 remaining, and we have a 21-6 score with the PAT pending. And we're going to have to wait a few minutes here as there's a penalty. So that'll take the point where the ball will be kicked back to the 15, a 25-yard PAT attempt. Snap down and kicks up. It was partially blocked, but still finds the way through the goalpost, and that cuts the lead to 21-7.
Ortiz with the PAT. 7 points on the board now for Olympia. They cut the lead to 21-7. 4 minutes, 56 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, the site. And this is the regular season opener for both Wekiva, the home team, and Olympia, the visitors. Of course, Wekiva coming off a 4-6 season. Expected to have a much better season this year, ranked 15th in the Orlando Sentinel. Super 16. Olympia 1 game better at 5-5. They were ranked 17th. So certainly expectations are just as high for them. And up until the last play, if you don't count the PAT too, if you count the PAT, this game has been, Wekiva has been in control of this game. It has not been pretty, it has not been clean. It's been stretches of clean and stretches of inconsistency, but their stretches of clean have been far more impactful, if that is such a word, than Olympia's. And, of course, that 7 points that Olympia put on the board was the result of 3 penalties, 2 coming after Wekiva had apparently stopped Olympia, a third down pass going incomplete. 2 penalties, 25 at the end of that, and now Wekiva looking to answer. This is Bennett, shakes off a couple of tackles, motors down that left sideline, picks up about another 10 yards.
Joshua Bennett on the return for the Mustangs, and he gets from the 15-yard line down to about the 35, and once again we have a flag after the end of the play. And now I see the referee is directly approaching the Wekiva bench, and I fear this is not good news.
No, and as you mentioned, Wekiva really has had their issues with the penalties. They had 10 penalties for 60 yards last week. They now have, I believe, 12 penalties. And so while we got the break, I want to point out that our video aspects and behind the scenes.
After the play, personal foul called against the Titan kicking team. That'll be 15 yards added to the end of the play. First down, Mustangs.
So Wekiva does catch the break there. And where I was going with the penalties was that Wekiva had 7 in the first half. They have 4 or 5 here in the second half, and we're just past the halfway point of the third quarter. In the meantime, though, Wekiva takes possession at its own 45-yard line. Davis, the one-back set, he'll take it himself. Sweeps around that left side, crosses the hash mark, gains about 8 yards, Mark?
Maybe more than that.
Well, it's good yardage on first down.
Tyree Davis on the carry for the Mustangs. The ball is spotted after the QB keeper at the 35-yard line, and that is just enough for a Mustang first down.
So a 10-yard gain. And as you just heard Mark say, first down. Of course, that is the second first down of the second half. They were only running one play up to this point. That was a 23-yard touchdown run by Weathers, who takes the ball there, and he slaps and slams through the right side of that defense, the defensive line.
Terrell Weathers picks up a gain of 5 on first down. That takes the ball down to just inside the 30-yard line, and it brings up 2nd and 5.
And actually, Wekiva had 5 plays. They've run 5 plays in this third quarter. At the beginning of this possession, they are now up to 8. This will be their 8th play they've run in the second half. But the fact still remains that is mainly because they needed one play to score that third touchdown and go up 21-0. One back set again. Davis, the inside handoff to Weathers. Lowers those shoulders. And he'll gain about 3 yards, setting up 3rd and short, looking for contact.
Weathers on the carry. Velson Sade had the tackle for the Titans. A pickup of 3 yards brings up 3rd and 2 from the Titans' 27-yard line. So Wekiva, in terms of the actual execution and mechanics of the game, in terms of play strategy, secondary and offensive line, getting it done, doing what needs to be done. Defense has been very effective when they've been disciplined. The big takeaway from this game that I think Coach Schwartz is going to have to work on.
Davis rounds that corner. Same play they opened the series up. Sorry to interrupt you there, Mark, but yep, Davis was getting some good yardage.
That was Tyree Davis on the carry. It is enough for a Mustang first down.
And Davis doing an excellent stop-and-go job there, waiting for his blockers to get into position and set up the blocks.
And that was a gain of 7. Takes the ball just to the edge of the red zone at the 20-yard line. So, yeah, like I said, I think if you are Coach Schwartz, you're happy with the execution. You're disappointed with the antics. Obviously, Wekiva has had some dead ball penalties at the line of scrimmage, several false starts that have cost them some yardage, and then several just mental errors letting their emotions take over, and they might get away with that tonight. They might yet come up with the W here if the momentum continues to go the way it's going, but you're not going to get away with that against Edgewater, and you're not going to get away with that against DP, and you're not going to get away with that against Apopka.
Yeah, another short gain on first down, trying to go misdirection. Davis faked the handoff to Weathers, and I didn't see...
That was Tyree Phileas on the carry for the Mustangs, and no gain on the play. 2nd and 10 coming up for Wekiva from the 20.
Yeah, I do want to talk about Davis, though, because he has been a bright spot. He's ran the ball twice in this series, gained 10 yards on that first time, 7 yards on the second, gained the first down on each of those. And we began this, even going back to the pregame show, talking about Davis and how much he has matured. And on those two gains, those are plays that you have to have patience because there's a lot of blocking, and it takes a long time for that blocking to set up. And he allowed that to happen as now a newcomer, that is Anthony Gay. He rambles around the right hash mark. He'll gain about 3 yards. He'll set up third and mid-range.
Anthony Gay third on the carry for Wekiva with the outside corner out. Flag on the play. Holding called against the Mustang offense, 10 yards from the spot of the foul, and a replay of second down. So what are we up to now? 3, 4 holding?
I believe that's 13 in total. I believe it's 6 in the second half. In either case, that's going to put the ball back at the 34.
2nd and 14 for Wekiva. 43 seconds to go in a third quarter that has just seemed interminable.
2nd and 19, by the way. 36 seconds remaining. Clock continues to count. And now Wekiva will have to overcome that penalty. They did do that on the second touchdown, scoring on the next play. And it looks like they're going to do it again. They're going to go into the end zone. Weather busts through that left side. Weaves, finds his way down that left sideline, and motors into the end zone for the 27-7 lead.
Terrell Weathers, 20 yards into the end zone for a Mustang touchdown.
So Christian Innocent will come out, attempt the PAT with 18 seconds remaining. An explosive performance by Wekiva, and this is no good. Oh, no, it is. It just cleared that crossbar.
0 points for style, but 1 point for accuracy. So
that'll take the lead to 28-7. Again, 18 seconds remaining. Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium is the site.
Innocent with the PAT. It's low, but it counts. And that brings the score to 28-7. 18 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
And while we got a break, I want to give credit and just let you know, our video and behind-the-scenes responsibilities being handled tonight by the broadcast production department at Wekiva High School. Keith Dickinson, the director, helping us out tonight. Emily Yuda, Mamplassar, excuse me for that mispronunciation, Isaac Cervantes, Vinny Henderson, and Hannah Berzee. And they have done an excellent job so far, again, bringing you the video aspects of this production and broadcast tonight. So you can see what we're talking about. Mark Barchi, I'm Neil Fisher. And so Olympia will try to get some of the momentum back. And so we talked about at the beginning of this game, even though Wekiva won last week, the preseason kickoff classic, against Pinellas Park, a 40-0 victory. There were a couple areas that Coach Schwartz said that the team really needs to improve in, and one of which was defending the kickoff. And at least through the first 3 quarters of this game, they have done that. They've been very solid. No big returns like they had last week against Pinellas Park. So Gaines, making his first varsity starts, lines the Olympia Titans up at the 40-yard line. And that will do it for the third quarter. as the reception made by Sincere Irvin. It's a short gain, and 28-7 at the end of the third quarter, season opener from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium in Apopka.
That takes us to the end of the third period. 28-7 the score with 12 minutes left on the clock here in week 1 of season 16 of Mustang football here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. For those of you here in the stadium, we want to remind you, if you are depending on a ride to get home from tonight's game and you have not already let them know, please give them a call. Tell them we are headed into the fourth quarter and they can pick you up at the North Bus Loop to make your way home. We appreciate your cooperation helping our administrators clear the facility and get home to their families this evening.
Okay, and excuse me, the ball was actually at the 35-yard line. It's a 2-yard gain, so Olympia will have 2nd and 8 at their own 37-yard line. We begin the fourth and final quarter, as you just heard Mark say, the handoff, and busting through that middle, pounding ahead, chugging those legs. Rangel.
Darian Rangel on the carry for the Titans, turning 2nd and 9 into 1st and 10. He's crossed midfield to the 49-yard line.
So that's a 14-yard gain. And Gaines has the open receiver, and yes, it is.
It's caught by number 9. That's Josh Evans on the catch. Back-to-back first downs for the Titans. That puts the ball to the 36-yard line.
As you like to say, Mark, not much on style points. That was a low pass, but he got the job done. A 15-yard reception and ball at the 35 of Wekiva. And now Gaines is going to try to hop, skip, and make some ground up. And he's pretty successful there. It's about 7 yards.
Juan Gaines on the QB keeper for the Titans. He picks up 7. And that puts the ball down to the 29-yard line of Mustang territory.
So 3 straight rushes now. 26 yards in total, and Olympia going to the no-huddle offense. Rangel gets the ball again. This time he is spread out all the way down to the right sideline.
Gaines on the carry. Kadar Cargill picked up his shoelaces, and we'll pause while we wait for the field lights to come back on.
Ooh. Well, we've had rain. We've had a delay. The game starting at 7:50 instead of 7:30. And now all we need is some heartfelt music, right? Find a rock ballad. So, by the way, it's Cargill. So, we are in a power shortage at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium on the southeast side of Apopka, just next to 429. 10:51 remaining in the season opener between Olympia and Wekiva. Wekiva with the 28-7 lead. Olympia, when we resume, will have the ball 2nd and 10 at the Wekiva 29-yard line. Take a quick recap of the scoring. It began.
In the stadium, we do want to make sure that you are being safe. Of course, feel free to enjoy the moment with the lights on your phone there, but please do not try to move around on the bleachers in the dark.
The quick scoring. Wekiva opened up strong. Second consecutive week, of course, last week was the preseason kickoff classic. Exhibitions, they don't count in the regular season record, but nonetheless, they do count towards getting your feet wet, getting some momentum. Wekiva defeating Pinellas Park 40-7. They scored on the very first play from scrimmage after holding Pinellas Park to a 3-and-out. That was a 70-yard bomb from Tyree Davis to Terrell Gainey. Perfectly thrown pass. Gainey caught the ball at the 20-yard line, had about a foot separation from the secondary, and turned upfield after catching the ball on that 45-yard line and was in the end zone untouched. Tonight it wasn't quite as spectacular or explosive, but certainly just as efficient and solid. 68 yards, 7 plays, 3 minutes, 27 seconds. Davis capping off the opening possession of the regular season, a 5-yard bulk at 8:28 remaining in the first quarter. On the third possession, Wekiva then moved the ball 55 yards, 8 plays, 5:43. Again, Davis integral, this time showing his passing wares. 15 yards to Gay, and that was actually right after a penalty. 6:04 remaining in the second quarter. We went into halftime at 14-0. Wekiva taking advantage of a fumble. Third play, that fumble occurring, Olympia giving it up. And on the very next play, Terrell Weathers powering through that offensive line. Of course, that says a lot about the offensive line. They opened up a mammoth hole in the center of that line. Weathers pounded through 23 yards. It was 21-0. And then Wekiva on its last possession, 18 seconds remaining. They moved the ball 55 yards on 6 plays. And it was capped off. I'm dead. Capped off. That last possession capped off with a 34-yard run from Terrell Davis. Again, 18 seconds remaining in the third quarter.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are working on rebooting the lights. It is about a 5-minute drawdown because these are not like the light bulbs that you have at home. So they have to cool down and then power back up again. So we appreciate your patience. Once again, for those of you here in the stadium, while, of course, you're free to continue to celebrate with our band and our cheerleaders and enjoy the moment with your cell phones, we do ask that you please use extreme caution when moving around the bleachers and the perimeter of the track in the dark. We do ask that you please make sure that you are exercising a great deal of caution. We want to make sure everyone is being safe, but we are working on rebooting the lights, and we are hoping to have things back underway here in about 5 minutes. So as you can see, here in the press box, everything's working fine. I've been doing this for 16 years here at Wekiva. This is the first time I've seen this happen.
Yeah, and of course I've been about next to you for all 16 years.
And so this is not a total power outage. The scoreboard is still on. The concession stand lights are on. The press box has power. Obviously, our broadcast has power. It is strictly limited to the stadium light system, although what's interesting is we had the baseball and softball field lights on as well, because we had that to give some light to the visitor concession stand, and those also went out. So it's not just the football stadium. All of the stadium lights for the entire outdoor complex went out.
Again, a quick shout out, the broadcast, the video production aspects of this broadcast being handled by our students here, Emelinda Munplasar, excuse me for mispronouncing your name, Isaac Cervantes, Vinny Henderson, and Hannah Berzee. And maybe one of them can answer this question, but I'm 53 years old. I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and when we had something like this happen and everybody went to the candles or the flashlights, we always did that at KISS concerts when they played Beth, or the Rolling Stones when they would play Angie. So my question is, my question mark is, what do the kids listen to now when you have this situation? What are the ballots now that they pull out the flashlights? And of course now it's a cell phone flashlight.
I am probably the least qualified person in Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium to answer that question. The bands are playing right now, and I'm not going to play over them. I'd probably put Hey Jude on if I had to pick a song.
Oh yeah, that was another song and group that back in my day when I was in high school we would pull our flashlights out to. So also want to point out, defense has played relatively well. They actually have gone into a period, as you mentioned, Mark, got undisciplined. That 7 points that Olympia has scored really was a direct result of 2 penalties, 3 in total, on that possession. Wekiva apparently had stopped Olympia they'd forced an incomplete pass on 3rd and 10, but they committed 2 penalties, 25 yards in total. And yeah, that was 2 penalties assessed at the same time at the end of the 3rd down play. Obviously, that gave Olympia new life, but it also moved the ball all the way down to the 9-yard line. And then on 4th and goal, a 4-yard pass from Cameron James, the defensive lineman who lined up in Wildcat formation, to Tyler T.D. Cross. They also committed a penalty, a pass interference penalty on 4th down, which moved the ball from the 8-yard line to the 4-yard line. That's the Wekiva defense, and Olympia getting those 4 yards to move that ball to the 4-yard line. So going into halftime, they've given up 85 yards. I'd estimate about 120 before that possession. And so when they have not been undisciplined, they have played very well. And as I mentioned, going into the second half, it has not been anything spectacular. They have not had a sack. They have not had a lot of tackles for yardage loss. They've just kept the ball in front. They have not allowed Olympia to get many first downs. I know they have had less than 8. And again, please remember that at the high school level, we do not have statisticians. This is really something that you can't keep stats in between the plays, even though football is a bit slower sport than, say, basketball, because you do have the stoppage between the plays. But, of course, if you've been with us throughout this throughout the game tonight, and thank you for joining us. First off, if you turned in late, we do have a power shortage right now at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. We are expecting the lights to come up in about 10 minutes or so, 10:51 remaining, the regular season opener. Olympia trailing Wekiva 28-7. Wekiva, the home team, and they scored on their first possession, and they have led throughout. But getting back to the defense, they have really played well, and even though the offense has had moments of explosiveness, in my opinion, Mark, the defense has really set up that explosiveness. When I write my story, I'm Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief. The other voice you're hearing tonight is our sports information director and public address announcer, Mark Barchi. That's going to be my lead, is that the defense has really been the key ingredient, the number one ingredient at the top of the list for why Wekiva wins if they hold on.
As long as they keep their wits about them, of course.
Yeah.
The defense has been a key ingredient. The defense has also made some of the biggest errors tonight. So.
Yeah, well, again, fortunately, those errors were once they had the 21-0 lead. So certainly something that Coach Schwartz is going to have to talk about to his team as they practice this week. By the way, Wekiva will be on the road taking on Ocoee next week. They'll be at home taking on Ocoee next week. Wekiva opened the season last year the same way with Olympia in Ocoee, but they were both road games. This year, of course, they come home. The traditional setup in terms of schedule is a home-and-home series, 1-1, and that's because the FHSAA sets up their districts and their playoff. The playoffs are set up on a 2-year schedule. So after that, they go the third week. They'll have a third consecutive home game. That'll be against Lake Minneola. That's on September 9th. Then a couple of road games for Wekiva. West Orange, who they played here at home last year and lost to. But a new opponent on the schedule, at least from last year, that's Lake Brantley. Again, that'll be on the road. Lake Brantley is a team that Wekiva has played a number of times, but they were not on the schedule for the last couple of years.
All right, we have an update on the light situation. You may be used to the old days of your grandparents when you would turn on lights using a light switch. But we don't do that here in 2022. We control all the lights with a sophisticated scheduling system that uses an app. And that app cannot schedule the lights to come back on for another 10 minutes. So the lights will be off until 10:24, at which point they will come back on again and they will warm up. We appreciate your patience while we enjoy the comforts of modern technology.
Okay, and for those of you listening on our streaming broadcast, thank you for your patience. Thank you first for tuning in tonight, but also thank you for your patience. We know it's been a long night. Please remember that for those of us who are a part of this broadcast, it is just as long for us. Getting back to the schedule, though, Mark, to wrap it up, the last 5 games, Edgewater, that'll be at home. Last year was on the road. That's always an important game, as Edgewater and Wekiva are in the same district. They have been the favorites for the last 2 years in that same district. That'll also be homecoming. That's September 30th. Then a new team, at least again in comparison to last year, that's Windermere. That'll be at home. Horizon, of course, Horizon, this is their second year, so this is the first year Wekiva will be playing them. That'll be on the road, and that's going to be a long road trip on October 14th as well. And then, of course, the season winds up with Jones on October 21st and the Tater Bowl, Crosstown Rivalry, Apopka on November 4th. That'll be senior night, both those games at home. And also, the FHSAA this season went to they didn't get rid of it, but they added, you no longer just have classifications and independents, you also have a metro and rural category. Wekiva, of course, is in the metro classification, and they have, or the metro category, and they have 4 class, and they're in class 4A, and the district they're in includes Edgewater, Horizon, and Jones. So, and I'd also like to just say, too, please, thank you again for joining us. And, again, please remember that we did not expect to have this power delay. So right now we are trying to keep you updated, not only with the situation for the power delay, but also in terms of the information we're delivering to you in general. So Mark, of course, Mark also, as our public address announcer, controls the music, the songs. And asked a little bit earlier, I mentioned that, I'm 53 years old, and I grew up in the 70s and 80s. We listened to groups like Kiss and the Rolling Stones and the Who and the Eagles and Aerosmith, Foreigner, Journey. Of course, Journey is, for those of you who are my age, Journey was like the master of the rock ballad. But we would, in a situation like this, pull out the flashlight and start waving it back and forth to songs like Beth or Angie or Don't Stop Believing. And then you mentioned the Beatles in this song, Let It Be. So I guess you're going to go with that.
Yeah, we're going with Hey Jude tonight. So,
Hey Jude.
So yeah, again, under a delay here at Wekiva, the comforts of modern technology, we don't turn our lights off and on with a switch anymore. We do it with an app, and the app will not let you schedule the lights to come on any sooner than 15 minutes. So this is new. This is I don't think I've seen this happen before. I've been doing this a long time. I've been doing this 16 years at Wekiva. I've been doing it off and on since probably 1999, and this is the first. Of course, in 1999, we didn't have lights that worked this way. Television, I'm not sure what is. 10 minutes, 51 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. This is a game that started about 50 minutes late due to rain, and now has incurred about a half-hour delay so far here in the fourth quarter due to a misscheduling of the lights. From what I heard, the lights were scheduled to go off at 11:59, but actually went off at 10 o'clock sharp. All All right, once again, we are about under 5 minutes remaining. 10:24, the lights are scheduled to come back on, so we appreciate your patience, and we appreciate your flexibility as we started about 50 minutes late due to the weather and now have a little bit of a glitch with our technology that keeps the lights on. But again, that they have been reset, and we should be getting back underway here in just a few minutes. And there was light.
That was the 6th day, right?
No, that was the first day.
Oh, yeah,
that was
it was
first
the first day. Excuse me. Yeah, of course, you need light to see what you're doing. So you can tell it's been a power shortage here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium.
The lights are actually back on now. You can't tell that from your camera angle that you're looking at right now. But the lights have come back on, but they have to warm up.
Two of, I guess you could call them systems. On the other side, that would be the visitor's side. As Mark just mentioned, they warm up. It's not like at your house where you flip a switch on and the light automatically. They come on incrementally in terms of the intensity. So this is Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. I'm Neil Fisher. Mark Barchi is the other voice. Neil Fisher, me, from the Apopka Chief.
I think it would have been a great joke if during the outage we had switched places with two other teams that were playing tonight, and we had suddenly had a different game going on here. Missed opportunity.
Of course, Mark is the public address announcer, sports information director here at Wekiva,
and resident wiseacre.
And now you can start to see the field and the players. This is the regular season opener for both these teams. Olympia, the visitors, in their white jerseys with their teal, blue, and light green numbers. Wekiva wearing for the first time ever brand new jerseys tonight. The glossy helmets, they're the gold with the same kind of same colored numbers, and the maroon background on the jerseys. Both these teams come in. They had so-so seasons last year. Wekiva 4-6, Olympia 5-5. Olympia ranked number 15 in the Super Sentinel, Orlando Sentinel Super Sentinel Top 16. Olympia 17, but it's been pretty much until recently, at least for about 3.5 quarters, it's been all Wekiva. As I said before we had the power outage, I equate Wekiva's performance in racing. I know you might not be a racing fan, but we all understand that you got to make a pit stop. And it's like when you come in and somebody on that pit crew makes a mistake. They forget to tighten one of the lug nuts, or they put the wrong tire on. They put on a tire that has an old tire which doesn't have any tread left, or the gas man doesn't fill up the tank. They're the kind of mistakes which might not look important at the time, but 2 or 3 plays later, they make a mistake. They have an effect. In Wekiva's case in football, they took a 14-0 lead into halftime. They probably could have had at least a 21-0 lead, but certainly, even if it was only 14-0, they probably could have gained some more yardage and held on to the ball a little bit longer and worn out the Olympia defense even more.
Well, it looks, Neil, like the lights are not at 100% power yet, but we're going to go ahead and rule this as close enough.
28-7, back to action. Olympia with the ball. Wekiva's 29, looking to cut into that lead. They have marched down to the Wekiva side of the field as Gaines throws an incomplete on the last two possessions, the best they've looked all night.
Pass falls incomplete, but there is a flag on the play. Pass interference called against the Mustang defense. And from the 22-yard line, that would be half the distance to the goal, an 11-yard penalty, and that should be enough for a Titan first down.
And just before the power outage, you did ask me, Mark, about Wekiva's penalty. They now have 15 for 75. That is their 8th penalty in the second half. So put it this way, Wekiva committed 7 penalties, get to that in a minute, as stuffed at the line, nowhere to go. That off defensive line coming up big again.
Yeah, you saw the defensive line actually get excited there. They thought the ball might be coming loose, and it almost did. But I think the Titans hold it. No, it did come loose. The ball is loose, and the Mustangs have recovered.
So the second fumble of the game by Olympia, second fumble recovery by Wekiva. And of course, now it doesn't seem like quite such a big deal because Wekiva has the ball with the 3-touchdown lead. But just want to finish my thought, which was Wekiva committed 7 penalties in that first half, which is a lot of penalties, 64 yards. But they matched that right before the power outage, the same amount, 7 penalties, and we still have 10.5 minutes remaining. So going into this game, we mentioned that was one of the things that Wekiva needed to work on. They had 10 penalties last week as Davis leads the team back up. That one set formation, one back set. And I believe that was Weathers. He actually lost a couple of yards. And they started off, at least they didn't seem like they were taking a step backwards. Roughly the same amount of penalties and yardage, but then they've gotten worse here in the second half as this game is worn on. So has that undisciplined nature.
A gain of 3 on the carry brings up 2nd and 7 from the Mustangs' own 14-yard line. You know, it's so funny. I was taking a walk of the facilities with Coach Bruce, our athletic director, a couple of weeks ago before the season started. It's something we customarily do. We walk the facility. We turn on all the lights.
Incomplete, and oh boy, Bennett should have had that.
Pass intended for Joshua Bennett is dropped, and that will bring up 3rd and 7 from the 14. But anyway, so a couple of weeks ago, Coach Bruce and I were walking the facilities. We, push all the buttons, turn on all the lights, make sure that they all come on. None of them are burned out. Turn on the scoreboard, make sure it comes on, come up to the press box, make sure the internet works. All things that we knew worked in April, but we want to make sure they still work in August.
Yeah,
and one of the things
4 months later.
Yeah, and one of the things we checked was the lights, and he pulled out his phone and he showed me, look how cool this is. These lights, they got upgraded. They don't use a regular light switch anymore. I control them with my phone, and he showed me, and he pushed the buttons on his phone, and a few minutes later the lights came on. I'm like, wow, that's really neat. But what happens if you need to turn the lights on right away?
Yeah. So back to live action, one back set. Weather lined up to the right of Davis. Davis 4 of 7 at halftime. Only 32 yards, but no interceptions with a touchdown. He drops back, got lots of time, and nice pass over to Putman.
Pass complete to Noah Putnam, and that is insufficient for first down yardage. That, in fact, is a loss of 2 on the play. 4th and 9 coming up for Wekiva.
So, again, we started this broadcast talking about Davis. At least he was one of the issues we talked about. Certainly he's improved tremendously. He's probably grown 4, maybe 5 inches. He's put on about 22 pounds. Most of it muscle, gotten rid of a lot of his baby fat. Coach Schwartz complimented him throughout the offseason about getting rid of that baby fat, being leaner, more muscular. but also just his play and his decision-making. And granted, as I said, he only had 32 yards at halftime. He's now around 40. But most importantly to me, Mark, as there's not going to be a punt return, he has not made the mistakes which put Wekiva in holes.
Punt is away. It's ultimately downed by Tyrell Gainey, and the Titans will start off inside Mustang territory at about 48-yard line. Yeah, you know, Neil, I don't get to watch The Price is Right anymore because I work for a living and I'm never home when it's on. But when I was growing up, and it was my days off of preschool, I would watch The Price is Right in the morning with my grandma. And one of the games that they had, Bob Barker would always make a joke that don't press the button until you want to stop the gauge because we can't start it again for another blank hours. And he would make up a different number every time, and of course it was a complete joke, and it was made up, and everyone would laugh. And I thought of that, well, once the lights go off, we can't start them for another 24 minutes.
So 8:18 remaining in this season opener. Wekiva with the 28-7 lead. They scored on the first possession, driving the ball 68 yards, 7 plays, and they have not really been challenged, at least in terms of that deficit, since then. As Olympia will go back to work at the 48. That's Juan Gaines, in his first varsity start, and now he's going to have to go to the air. And that'll be incomplete, one-on-one coverage.
Pass is incomplete, intended for Romello Walker. Secondary coverage courtesy of Justin Hutchinson. And that will bring up 3rd and 10 for the Titans.
So Olympia begins this possession with 2 passes and 2 incompletions. Give Wekiva secondary credit. Again, this defense, they've made a couple of mistakes. They had a couple of stretches, most notably, specifically, they committed double penalties, 2 penalties at the same time at the end of the same play twice. But other than that, Mark, they have played solidly. They have not done anything spectacular, but they've been efficient, and they've kept Olympia off the board other than those penalties. This is going to be a long game, though. Give Gaines credit. Got that ball away, and dinking and diving through that defense is
Shazar Roberts on the carry. Ramel Smith saved the touchdown for the Mustangs, but not before the Titans pick up a big first down on the ball spot at the 25-yard line.
So a 23-yard gain on the Gaines to Shazar
Early
completion.
Flag at the line of scrimmage. The pass is incomplete, intended for Romello Walker. Flag on the play. Illegal substitution called against the Mustang defense. Loss of down. That'll move the ball down the field to the 20-yard line. It's a 5-yard penalty, and it is 4th down.
And, of course, Coach Gabriel decides to go for it. Nothing to lose at this point. Another short pass, and I couldn't really see that, but from our vantage point, it looked like it was catchable.
Pass incomplete, and I misspoke. It was first down on that previous play, so now it is 2nd and 5 after the penalty and the incomplete pass. Ball at the 20-yard line.
Olympia with possession at the Wekiva 20, trailing 28-7, 7:40 remaining in the season opener for both teams.
And I want to give a shout-out to some of the folks we're seeing on the live chat. Tamika Richardson from Birmingham, Alabama. So viewers from Alabama joining us tonight. Wasatch High School, the Sting TV, joining us from Utah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Again,
thanks for tuning in tonight. We're glad to have viewers from all over the country and all over the world, whether you're here to watch the Mustangs, here to watch the Titans, just here to watch good football, or here to watch, see how other high schools do their broadcasts. Whatever your reason for coming to the broadcast tonight, we're glad you're here.
Now, this is 3rd down.
Yes, this is really 3rd down. 3rd and 5.
3rd and 5, a couple of incomplete passes from Gaines. He'll line Olympia up, a one-back set. Both these teams use that. 3 receivers right side. the quick pass off the three-step drop, and it's going to be right at the first down marker.
Pass complete to TD Cross. Jabari Smith immediately makes the tackle, but it is enough yardage for a Titan first down.
And they needed 5 yards, got exactly 5 yards. I'm Neil Fisher. Mark Barchi is the other voice. He's also the public address announcer. First and 10 at the Wekiva 15 as Olympia continues to march. And they will not score. Yes, that was an interception. Give credit to Hutchinson going down low and scooping that ball off the ground. Of course, it all started with the pressure from the defensive line.
Ball is caught by Justin Hutchinson in the end zone. And that is a touchback on the interception. So Olympia now twice has had Wekiva steal victory from the jaws of defeat in the red zone.
Yeah, their last 2 possessions, they moved the ball inside the Wekiva 20-yard line. Deepest they've gone all night, and then the turnover. This time an interception. The last time it was a fumble. Wekiva begins with the rush. Not much of a surprise, 28-7 lead and dropping under 7 minutes. I think at this point, if you're Wekiva and Coach Schwartz, it's just get out of this game without any injuries and move on to preparing for a Coe next week's opponent.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're going to see the play selection start to favor the run more. You want to go ahead and bleed that clock, and you don't want to take chances, especially when you're at your own 20-yard line. Got to give some really good credit to Wekiva's secondary, and I know, Neil, you've brought up the defense several times, but, I think we've had one pass interference call, but outside of that, we've had some plays that could have been pass interference calls.
We got some big brewing here down midfield, motoring down that right, and it's Weathers, the big man.
Terrell Weathers into Titan territory for a big first down. Jalen Thompson finally knocks him out of bounds for the Titans.
So we mentioned Wekiva at this point. You're looking just to run out that clock. Don't take any risk passing the ball. Not only turning it over, but injuries. But someone forgot to tell Terrell Weathers in the offensive line that this game's over. He saw an opening and bolted down that right sideline, down that right hash mark, weave to the right sideline, where he then did some motoring. And when it's all said and done, it's at the 40-yard line of Olympia with 6:15 remaining, 28-7 lead.
And we've reached the midpoint of the fourth quarter. And so once again, we'll remind you, if you are waiting for a ride or you're depending on a ride to get home from tonight's game, call them and let them know that we are headed into the last 6 minutes. And we really mean it this time, because we think the lights are going to stay on for the rest of this game. So if they could be prepared to pick you up and take you home, our administrators would really appreciate your help not being any later than they already are getting home to their families. Thank you for your cooperation. We also want to thank our friends at Baptiste Orthodontics, proud sponsors of Mustang Athletics, as well as our friends at Chick-fil-A, who are proud sponsors of OCPS Metro Conference football across the whole county this year. Chick-fil-A of Great Orlando is proud to partner with OCPS to power your local Chick-fil-A locations. Don't forget to eat more chicken.
First and 10 from the Olympia 40 for Wekiva, and that is Phileas jumping in. He does the Marcus Allen, reverses direction, and he's going to gain around 15. Great job there.
Tyree Phileas on the Mustang carry, taken down by Cameron James, but not before he picks up a Mustang. First down.
So the Mustangs, just when you thought they were going to settle down, call it a day, they have now gained, where's that, at the
23-yard line.
23-yard line, so that's a 17-yard gain, and that's 53 yards over the last 2 plays on the ground for Wekiva.
Yeah, so Wekiva has definitely shifted to a more conservative play selection, which we expected. However, just because they're on a more conservative play selection doesn't mean they're not being aggressive with those plays.
Yeah, and also want to point out Weathers, who had the 36-yard run on the previous play. He has a 48, 34, and 36-yard gain tonight. And that's what I meant when I said the big man. And now they're going to the air. That's Putnam. And that was way too long. 5:09 remaining. That'll bring up second down.
Pass intended for number 15, Noah Putnam, is overthrown and incomplete. Second and 10 coming up for the Mustangs. So, yeah, Neil, I mean, as much as Coach Schwartz has to be frustrated about in terms of...
Yeah, to finish Mark's thought, he has to be happy with the rushing game. And when Wekiva has been disciplined, they have executed well. Again, Wekiva taking that lead on the first possession, driving 68 yards on 7 plays. As another handoff, busting through the middle is Withers. He jukes and jives, those subtle hip shifts, and he's going to come down at the 9, so it'll be first and goal, a 14-yard gain as Weathers continues to add to his stats.
Terrell Weathers with the reception to the 10-yard line. A gain of 13 on the play. First and goal, Mustangs. And we'll have a timeout, an official timeout.
So Weathers now.
So this time it looks like I see number 44, that's Bennett Seas, with his helmet off on the other side. I'm not sure if maybe he got his bell rung there. I don't see anyone down on the field, though, so it looks like nobody's seriously hurt.
Yeah, and Weathers now has he has 5 rushes of at least 10 yards. Mentioned that his big ones are 48-34, which was a touchdown that made the score 21-0, and then 36, which was 3 plays ago. He also has a 10 and a 15, and now he's going to add to that, busting through the line, pounding 34-7
into the end zone for a 10-yard Mustang touchdown.
So 4:31 remaining. Wekiva now up 34-7. Of course, the PAT pending. And that was the Wekiva we saw in this first possession. Six plays, 78 yards, no penalties. And they're going to go for the 2-point conversion. That's Georges who's in. And yes, score it 36-7 as Georges, the second-string quarterback, gets some time in. And was that Davis who caught it? Yes, that was Davis, the starting QB.
Solomon Georges to Tyree Davis. QB to QB for a 2-point conversion. And the Mustangs extend their lead to 36-7 with 4 minutes, 31 seconds remaining in the ballgame.
And now Weathers has 143 yards and a pair of rushing TDs. He had only 44 yards at halftime, so certainly he's made his presence felt in the second half. Wekiva again, 36-7 lead. They scored 4:31 remaining. Wekiva scored on the first possession, and they have not trailed in this game since taking that lead, 8:28 remaining in the first quarter.
That if you are depending on a ride to get home from today's game and you have not already done so, please give them a call. Let them know they need to be on their way and ready to pick you up in about 10 minutes.
And another penalty.
The kickoff is out of bounds. That is, of course, a penalty.
So the reason I mentioned the penalty after that touchdown when I said 6 rushes or 6 plays, 78 yards, and they score a touchdown, and that looked like the first drive. Both those drives did not have a penalty. Wekiva in between has had 17 penalties. And you look at that 36-7 score, and quite frankly, Mark, you know, I wouldn't have said this maybe entering the fourth quarter, but now with hindsight, if you don't commit maybe half those penalties, I think we're in a running clock. The score, the deficit could be even more as Olympia throws an incomplete pass. Gaines stays in.
Pass falls incomplete. That will bring up 2nd and 10 from the Titans' own 35-yard line. So I don't know if you counted the kickoff out of bounds penalty in your total right there, but that, of course, pulled the ball from the 25 up to the 35-yard line. That's probably not a consequential penalty, but it does add to the pile.
Yeah, well, again, the number sticks out far more than the yardage, although the yardage does stick out quite a bit. But there's a completion. Gain is showing what his potential.
Josh Evans on the completion. Jaquez Kaysen on the tackle for the Mustangs. And that'll be a Titan first down into Mustang territory. Ball spotted at the 37.
So that's a 32-yard gain as Gaines goes back to work. And incomplete. Great handwork there, tipped away by the defense.
Excuse me, that was the 47-yard line in the previous play, and that pass falls incomplete to bring it up 2nd and 10.
Okay, so that makes the previous pass completion 22 yards. Still impressive, though. Puts them down on Wekiva's side of the field as we drop under 4 minutes, or about to drop under 4 minutes. 36-7. Wekiva with the lead over Olympia, the regular season opener for both these teams. Wekiva coming off a 40-7 victory last week against Pinellas Park in the Kickoff Classic. That is an exhibition game. Olympia was unable to play due to inclement weather. So Wekiva, mentioned it way back at the beginning of the broadcast at the pregame show. Wekiva actually caught a break, a blessing in disguise by traveling to Pinellas Park. All the games here in Orange County, Central Florida, were canceled due to the inclement weather. So the ball now at the 49 of Olympia. They move
it was
backwards.
A false start penalty on them. And now a run up the middle. Carry by number 18, Juan Gaines on the QB sneak. Tackle is made by Aaron McCrae. And that'll pick up 4 of the lost 5 yards to bring up 3rd and 11 for the Titans.
And that'll put the ball at the Wekiva 37 as Olympia back on the other side of the field. And they continue to go to the air down the sideline. One-on-one coverage, and
pass
there's all kinds of
for
laundry.
number 9, Josh Evans, is incomplete. And that was Greg Jones on the coverage, and there's a flag in the secondary.
Actually, there was 3 flags.
Yes,
There was all kinds of laundry there.
That penalty was visible from a satellite, especially now that the lights are back on.
And it is going to be against Wekiva. So that'll move the ball to the Wekiva 30-yard line.
Pass interference called against the Mustang, 15-yard penalty from the previous spot, first down.
And so Olympia back to work out of the one-back set into the end zone. Got nothing to lose at this point. And Putnam one-on-one doing his job.
Ronello Walker, the intended receiver. Noah Putnam, the coverage for the Mustangs. The pass falls incomplete, 2nd and 10.
So Olympia has thrown 4 passes or attempted 4 passes in this possession. You know, with the 36-7 deficit, got nothing to lose at this point. And mentioned both these teams, they run that one-back set, the spread offense. They go 3 or 4 receivers, usually unbalanced. And expect to see that throughout the regular season as that ball again. Gain is trying the other side, same exact play.
Pass intended for Josh Evans, covered by Kaysen. That pass falls incomplete, and it brings up 3rd and 10. 2:44 to go here in the 4th quarter. Quick look ahead at the Mustangs' schedule. They've got 2 more consecutive home games. First, we'll host Ocoee on September 2nd. Then we host Lake Minneola on September 9th. Then the Mustangs are on the road for 2 weeks, at West Orange on the 16th, at Lake Brantley on September 23rd, and then we have homecoming against Edgewater. That is a tough draw for homecoming as the pass again falls incomplete, and it brings up 4th and 10. So, Neil, I was talking with Coach Bruce about that one, and I said...
Just 2:39 remaining, just wanted to put that out there.
And I was talking to Coach Bruce about that. I was because I had, of course, a question when we were building the schedule and putting it online. What day did we choose for homecoming this year? And he said it was going to be on September 30th. And I said, really,
Edgewater.
We put the homecoming game against Edgewater. Okay, that's bold. I mean, of course, really from a calendar perspective, it's the only date that makes sense because the September dates where we're home are too early, and then we're not home again until Jones on October 21st, and at that point it's too late. So I understand from a calendar perspective why September 30th is the ideal date for homecoming, but boy, that's a bold decision to do homecoming against Edgewater.
Yeah, and, well, it looked like once again Olympia had been stopped, but the penalty.
Pass interference, 15 yards, first down.
So that will put the ball at the 15.
Well, if I've been doing my math right, it should be the 18, but no, it's going to be the 15.
And the drive stays alive as Olympia continues to throw the ball. They've only run it once, and that was Gaines actually under pressure. He decided to run it.
Pass intended for Jackson Barnett. Falls incomplete, 2nd and 10. I definitely do not trust any math that I do in my head after 10:30 at night.
So seven passes on this drive. And Mark, I mean, I know it's a broken record, but you just can't avoid it. They have not. They're 0 for 7 in passing, yet they have 2 first downs, and they've moved the ball 50 yards. 2 pass interference have kept this drive alive, along with a false start.
Well,
offside.
The Wekiva defense has been everything except mediocre tonight. They have had epic highs and epic lows.
Yes, there's been no in between. Fortunately for us, for Wekiva, from the Wekiva standpoint, the highs have had more impact than the lows.
Pass ball's incomplete to bring up 3rd down.
Because we talked about it, again, we've talked about throughout the whole game. They're up to 20 penalties now.
Yeah, and the other thing, for what it's worth, we've certainly seen a lot of patience from our fans here in the stadium, and perhaps from those of you watching at home. At least those of you watching at home can run to the refrigerator for a snack anytime you want. But we're going on 4 hours here since this game was scheduled to start, as we get a runner who gets away from the Wekiva defense, and that is 22, you say?
In any case, that will cut the lead to 36 to 13 with 2 or 3 remaining.
Darian Rangel gets into the end zone for a 15-yard touchdown.
That was their first intentional run in that drive, Mark. They threw 8 passes. They attempted 8 passes.
Well, maybe they realized it wasn't working.
And now they're going to have to try the 2-point conversion, and that was Irvin. He was just swallowed up.
I don't think that's what he was going for. The extra point attempt is faked and then is unsuccessful as Irvin is tackled behind the line of scrimmage, so the try fails, and the score remains now 36 to 13 with 2 minutes and 3 seconds remaining in the ballgame.
So that drive consisted of 10 plays and 65 yards. And again, now that it's over, Mark, I don't know, maybe you've seen it once or twice, but again, it might have happened, but in the 32 years that I've been covering high school football, I don't ever recall a drive lasting 10 yards, winding 10 plays, 65 yards, and not in every incomplete pass, 9 of them were incomplete. And if you just tuned in now, or you didn't hear me talk about it before, the reason that that drive continued, even though they were 0 for 9 in passing attempts, there were 3 penalties, 2 pass interference that was 30 yards, and then a offsides, bringing the total to 35 yards. So, again, that goes back to what we've talked about over and over as the onside kick.
Well, that's one of the, I think, the last plays that we hadn't seen run in this game out of the playbook. So, and it looks like it was successful. The Titans will attempt an onside kick, and the signal from the officials is that they have recovered. And so the Titans will keep possession of the ball near midfield.
It's actually going to be just barely on their side. The nose of the football touching the 50-yard line. 1:59 remaining. Wekiva 36-13 lead. They moved the ball 68 yards, 7 plays, 327. First possession, Tyree Davis starting his second season under center, rushing 5 yards. 7-0 lead for Wekiva with the PAT, and they have not trailed since then. They had a lead as big as 36-6, 36-7. Olympia just scoring to cut that lead down to a more respectable 23, and they might even have a shot here at getting into the 20s, the completion.
Pass complete to Xavier Tucker. Donovan Knight makes the stop, and that is good for about 25 yards. It's good for a Titan first down, and now the Mustangs will take their final timeout. Third timeout of the second half for Wekiva. The ball officially spotted at the 22-yard line.
So a 28-yard reception.
Once again, for those of you here in the stadium, we want to remind you that if you are depending on a ride to get home, make sure they are on their way. We should be wrapped up here in about 5 minutes, and we appreciate your help getting the stadium cleared so that our administrators can get home to their families. We want to invite you to join us next Friday night, September 2nd, as the Mustangs host the Ocoee Knights. It's a 7 o'clock scheduled kickoff, and we hope we start it actually closer to 7 o'clock next week. Then September 9th, the Mustangs host Lake Minneola, as we have 3 back-to-back home games to start off the 2022 season. We also remind you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. We are at Wekiva Sports. On all 4 of those services, you'll get live real-time updates from many of our home athletic events, as well as news and information about our athletes and alumni. Again, at Wekiva Sports on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. The pass intended for Sincere Irvin falls incomplete, and that will bring up 2nd and 10 for the Titans. So Sincere Irvin, definitely a utility athlete for the Titans. We saw him attempting the fake PAT a minute ago. Now he's a wide receiver.
So back to work Olympia goes. They're now trying to cut into that lead, at least get out of here with a shorter deficit.
Gaines has the pass completed to Josh Evans. And now the Titans will request their first timeout of the second half, and that was a gain of 8 on the completion. Brings up 2nd and a short 2 for the Titans once we come back from the timeout. I see we have South Korea on the broadcast tonight. So now we've gone from Alabama to Utah to South Korea. We keep going west. So welcome to our international friends joining us tonight for the broadcast. We invite you, if you haven't already done so, to bookmark WekivaMustangs.com. You can get the complete schedules for all of our fall sports, not just football, and mark your calendars to come out and attend. And remember that we do live stream just about everything we do here at home.
So Gaines drops back, got plenty of time over the middle, fires a bullet, and that was dropped.
Pass intended for Xavier Tucker falls incomplete, and that will bring up 4th and 2 for the Titans. No, maybe I was right the first time. I think it might be 3rd and 2. But in any case, that one, honestly, the Mustangs got away with one there. That was blown coverage. That should have been a touchdown.
Yeah, that ball, not only was it blown coverage, but Gaines put it right on the hands and led the receivers. So they empty the backfield. They'll go short this time, the wheel route, and chugging down there near the goal line. It will be 1st and goal, 1:25 remaining, no huddle.
Pass complete to Josh Evans. Tato Shaw makes the stop for the Mustangs. 1st and goal, Titans.
From, I believe that's the 2.
Yeah, I think that's about 2.5 yard line.
So that'll be a 12-yard gain. Whistles all over. They keep the backfield empty.
Yeah, they stopped the clock just to move the chains. And that's
Hand
it.
off and give the touchdown to Olympia with 1:20 remaining. Cut into that lead, make the score somewhat closer.
Anthony Ellison picks up the last 2 yards for the Titans. That cuts the Mustang lead to 36-19 with $1:20 remaining in the ballgame. So that was Gaines on the QB keeper.
And they'll go again for the 2-point conversion. Same play, except this time out of the shotgun. Not quite as powerful, but the end result the same. 2 points, 8 points in total, and that cuts the lead to 36-21 with 1:20 remaining. From Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium, Wekiva with that lead. Regular season opener.
Gaines again, getting the QB keeper on the touchdown and the 2-point conversion. That cuts the Mustangs' lead to 36-21 with 1 minute, 20 seconds remaining in the game.
So I think if you're Coach Travis Gabriel, he's the head coach of Olympia along with his staff, you got to at least be somewhat, take somewhat of a positive spin, looking at how Olympia's handled itself on the last 2 possessions. They were down 30. They were really, quite frankly, in running clock territory. Wekiva was up. They need 1 more touchdown as we get the onside kick. And you go out here 36-21. That's certainly a much more respectable loss than what it appeared to be.
Titans again attempt an onside kick.
This time, no dice. That's how they got possession. Olympia successfully attempting the onside kick.
Ball is spotted at the 46-yard line of Mustang territory.
So now I think, and I don't think you need to be the proverbial football guru, which, by the way, I think that's the first time I've said that tonight, to guess that Coach Schwartz is just going to run the clock out here, hand the ball off, 77 seconds remaining.
Well, all right, so your proverbial guru count is now 1 for season 16.
Yes.
And we've got a new number in the stat book.
That's
That
80.
is Jeremy Benjamin, the wide receiver turned running back, picking up 9 yards to bring up 2nd and 1 from the Titan 45.
Yeah, and speaking of only once, he has not seen any time tonight. He was one of the main cogs last year. So fake handoff to Benjamin. They go back to Gay. Misdirection as we now drop under 30 seconds. Probably 1 more play. Gay gains 7 yards.
Anthony Gay on the carry. That takes the ball to the 39-yard line for Mustang. Touchdown! Or for Mustang first down. It's late.
So the clock now goes back to running, and I think that should do it as we only have 10 seconds left. Wekiva is lining up, but I don't think they're going to be able to get a play off here. They're obviously in no hurry. 3, 2, 1. Nope, they're not going to get the play off. Didn't matter.
Play is blown dead. The clock had expired, and that takes us to the end of the ball game. 36-21. The Mustangs with a 15-point victory here in Week 1 of Season 16. We'd like to thank everyone for coming out to support your Mustang and Titan athletes here to open up the 2022 season. Thanks also to those of you who joined us online on YouTube, NFHS Network, or Varsity Sports Network Orlando. We once again encourage you to come out and see us on Next Friday night, September 2nd, 7 o'clock kickoff against the Ocoee Knights. Then the following Friday, September 9th, against Lake Mineola at 7. Mark your calendars now. Homecoming is September 30th against Edgewater, and senior night, of course, is against Apopka to wrap up the season on November 4th. You can get the complete schedule on our website, WekivaMustangs.com, which we encourage to bookmark for all of your scores, schedules, and more. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at Wekiva Sports. Thanks again for joining us here at Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium. For those of you here in person, please drive carefully and arrive home safely. Good night. And for those of you joining us online, thanks for tuning in to Mustang TV. Once again, we want to thank the Wekiva TV broadcast production program and everyone who participated in tonight's broadcast under the direction of Mr. Keith Dickerson. For Neil Fisher from the Apopka Chief, this is Mark Barchi, the voice of the Mustangs, thanking you for joining us to open season 16 and hoping that we will see you again next week. Please subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube before you go tonight, and we will see you next week. This has been a presentation of Wekiva High School in association with Orange Technical College, both a proud part of Orange County Public Schools. Good night from Baptiste Orthodontic Stadium in Apopka, Florida.